Hello! Hello and welcome to another Dungeons & Dragons stream where the plot's made up and the stats don't matter. I'm Sam, I'm going to be a DM for tonight, and I'm here with all of the guys and gals from Fumbles and Fame who are going to be partaking in a one-shot adventure for me, and I seem to have lost all my cameras. They've all moved position for some reason.
Also, I'm not Danish.
Is it better?
Well, that one I can't fix. You're going to have to be Danish for tonight. I will fix those briefly. But yeah, I'll fix those in a second. But for tonight's one shot, again, the guys and gals at Fumbles and Fame are all here with me. There's some new faces, there's some familiar faces if you guys have been here before. If you haven't, Fumbles and Fame is a tabletop-based D&D community that's based in Discord. Links are down below underneath the Twitch screen, and there'll be links popping up in the chat throughout the night, I'm sure, as well. It's a great place to come and get introduced to D&D. It's a great place to learn how to stream, how to DM, how to play. We can help you out with all that sort of thing. It's a really nice, welcoming community. By all means, come join us. Let us know what you think. Just before we get started tonight, there is a little bit of legal speak. It's important to note that we at Fumbles and Fame are not specifically affiliated, endorsed, sponsored, or approved by Wizards of the Coast LLC. We're just fans doing what we love best. And with that out of the way, I'm going to also briefly touch on the fact that tonight is going to be using some custom material from the guys of the DM's Guild, if anybody's familiar. It's a great place to pick up D&D resources. The adventure is one called Into Ivy Mansion by MT Black. I've done one of his one-shots before. It was really, really good fun. And I'm also going to be using some content from Nerzagal, I believe it is, his GM Toolkit. So if you guys want to check it out, some of the custom monsters and that we're going to use tonight will be from there. With that said, I'm going to do a quick round of introductions. As I say, I'm Sam, the DM. I've also got to my right, I've got Ken, who's going to be playing Artham. I believe it is. Artham?
Artham.
Ken's going to be playing Artham for us tonight, a dwarven cook, I believe. We've got Jordan, who's going to be playing Elsa Hawk, a wild magic sorcerer. We've got Jason, who's going to be playing Skitter, a kobold assassin, I believe it is, kobold rogue.
Oh, that's right, with a little twist.
Splendid. We've got Taru, who's going to be playing Brynjar. We've got Kelly, who's going to be playing Ari, a monster hunting ranger, I should say. And we've also got Josh playing Deptrek, a grave digging cleric. So nice and grim to round it all off. So, with all that said, we're going to start off tonight in the village of Longsaddle. Now, the village of Longsaddle is known for being a bit of a curious place. It's under the fiefdom of a family of wizards known as the Harpels, who can be quite eccentric, but it's also known as a place for very odd magical happenings. There's some very interesting orchards nearby, where trees grow silver leaves. There's all manner of strange happenings in the town that the residents have gotten quite used to over the years, such things as statues coming to life and talking. And it's not altogether unusual for the residents, but it still attracts an interesting amount of tourists and treasure seekers, people looking to pick up on some of the more interesting things that happen in the markets, which has grown to be a good market town. And we're going to start off in the only inn in town, known as the Golden Goose. And inside the Golden Goose, it's very, very well kept, even for a road inn. It's obvious from the state of the town that the Harpels look after the place, or expect it to be looked after to a certain standard. They're very aristocratic, so they have certain desires to see from the populace, and the populace knows to behave for them. So inside the inn, it's very well furnished, very well looked after. The floors are actually swept. It doesn't smell of sweat and horses. There's actually a faint scent of cinnamon in the air. And behind the bar stands a very well-built, inhuman tavern keeper who has a very traditional apron on the front, and he's speaking to a character sat at the front of the bar, a character that happens to be Deptrek. And above the pair of you, you will see the golden goose that actually gives the tavern its name. It's an enormous goose's head coated in gold, hanging directly above the tavern, and it's surrounded by an assortment of magical weapons, items, shields, all that kind of thing, animal furs, heads, They do give off a faint magical aura for those of you that might pick up on that sort of thing, but it seems to be more for flash and show than of any real utility purpose. So the barkeep is stood behind the bar, he's sat there giving you a bit of a wipe, and he looks over to this little figure sat on the stool in front of him. Didn't think I'd see you in town again. Did you get your job done?
Yeah, strange one, too. Got called to a circus a ways out. Time I got there, only the clowns were left.
A circus?
Yeah. A bit of a ghoul problem. Finally tracked the thing down. It was starving. Wouldn't eat the clowns, so they taste funny.
He gives you a bit of an odd look at that. You eat clowns?
No, the ghoul wouldn't eat the clowns.
Oh, right. That makes more sense. And he looks very, very relieved at this. It's clear in his face. So, how come I never heard of this circus? How far up north were you?
Quite a ways. I mean, I think it was probably about a week's travel out from here.
Are you heading back home?
Yeah, and back home. Hopefully get some rest in.
Well, there's rooms available. Not many, mind you, but there are rooms.
Excellent. Anything? I've probably got some coin to spend anyways. What have you got?
Well, there's the master suite. Tends to cost a fair amount of gold, mind you, but if you're running a bit low on the gold, I've got a simple room for 5 silver. Nothing fanciful, but it'll do the job.
Don't need anything as fanciful as the master suite. I can take the simple room.
Splendid. I'll have it prepared for you. And he reaches behind the bar, pulls out a brass ring of keys and starts flicking through them. And flicking through them, and there's a lot of keys, and flicking through them. Finally,
While
yanks.
he's doing this, I'm grabbing grabbing the 5 silver from my pouch and I'm putting it on the bar for him.
No problem. And he does eventually get you the key and slides it across the bar to you. First room on the right.
Thank you. And I put it in one of my pouches.
You know, travel can take a lot out of you, man. You fancy a decent meal before you go? How's special tonight?
Oh, what's the house special?
Roasted chicken. It was spiced up by our local dwarven chef. You might have seen her outside.
Oh, yes, I saw her when I came in. Definitely, I'll give that a try. Sounds like just the thing.
It's surprising what she can do with some simple spices and a few bits of poultry. Thinking about taking her on as my local chef permanently.
Well, after having the chicken, I'll give you a recommendation whether I agree with that or not.
Splendid. And I'll be right back. And he goes into the back to start preparing this meal for you, leaving you alone at the moment in the tavern. Now you'll notice it's quite lightly populated. It is getting on into the evening, but a lot of people have retired to their beds. It's not a particularly busy day for Long Saddle. It's not the market day, which is when it tends to get quite crowded. So a lot of the people in town are just the local residents. You do see 2 other figures in the bar. We'll start with Ari. Would you like to describe your character and where she is at this moment in time?
So you see Ari kind of in the corner, back to the wall, surveilling. She's very aware, even though she's clearly nursing a drink. You can see she's in kind of all, and got twin short swords strapped to her back. You can see just the edge. It shines, and you can tell that at least one of them is silvered and not your standard sword. But like I said, she's kind of quietly sitting, looking for opportunities or trouble.
All right. Are you drinking, eating, anything like that at the moment? Or does the bartender decide that you're going to be his next target?
She's drinking, but you can see the glass is getting low.
Okay, splendid. Elsa, where are you and what are you doing?
Elsa is currently sat at one of the tables with some drink, whatever was available. Just reading from a book, and if any other patrons sit down and try to make a conversation with her, she immediately gets up with a book and a drink, moves to an empty table, and just sit down, carry on reading. And she'll probably end up at the bar at some point.
And what does Elsa look like?
She has short yellow hair, pretty average height, with just basic like sorcerer robes and a quarterstaff, just used for walking and such.
Splendid. Depth check, I don't think we've got a description for you either, thinking about it. How does your character appear?
Yes, so he is a gnome with rough gray skin, black hair that falls about at his shoulders, and a beard that's gathered in the front with a red braid. He wears a wide-brimmed black hat and a long black oil-treated jacket.
Splendid. So you will look a little bit out of place. Two of you certainly will. Ari, with all your various assortment of weapons, and Deptrick looking like he's just come out of the local cemetery for all intents and purposes. Looks a bit grim for Longsaddle's usual pageantry. Can I get perception rules from all three of you, please?
That is a 22.
22, nice.
2.
A 2?
She is too into a book.
No crime. Ari, what'd you get?
11.
11.
Apparently, that beer's hitting her harder than she expected.
Skitty, you know what I'm going to ask you for?
Do I?
Stealth.
Oh, right. Let's do it. Of course. Let's see. I will have to, because my imported description doesn't actually list my skill modifiers, but so it'll only take a moment. Ooh, that's a nat 1 anyway. Bollocks!
Brilliant. So, I tell you what. Let's have a look. All right. Yeah. Elsa, you have found one of the local villagers has come across to your table to try and strike up a conversation with you. And as you get up to move and go across to another table, there's a scratching sound from somewhere up above. And a shower of dust motes begins to fall from the ceiling. And all of a sudden, there's this strange yelping noise. And this figure begins to plummet. I need you to make a dex save for me, please.
As a reaction, can I make a reaction?
What would you like to react?
Cast Featherfall on the thing that's about to fall on top of me.
Yeah,
Ooh.
go for it. So, as this mass of black and grey begins to suddenly fall from the ceiling, you reflexively whip out this spell, and it just sort of halts in midair, and then very slowly begins to lower itself. Skitter, how does it look as you suddenly lose your grip on the rafters far above and suddenly get arrested midair?
What you'll likely see when you look up is a mass of ragged black robes displaying flashes of soot-covered leather armor. But from within the cowl, you see a pair of beady red eyes and a scaly snout protruding from the shadows, with whiskers and two elongated incisor teeth at the front, jutting out of the jaw. But these eyes suddenly go wide in panic. They were wide before, but now they're just glaring at you, and you just hear a snarl. Said, "Ah, not fair! Stupid man things! Made me lose concentration!" And the robes flutter as he lowers to the ground.
So everybody else in the bar sees this very strange, very small figure sort of float down to the ground, and Elsa very neatly sidestep to avoid it landing on him. And this is a creature, as described, pretty much unlike most of you have probably ever seen.
Yeah, so basically he looks around. As he hits the ground, you see the scale snouts whip around in panic, looking at everyone. He said, "No, no, Skitter must remain hidden. No, not fair. Lost concentration. All your faults, stinky man things."
As you make this tumultuous racket, sorry, Devtrek, go ahead, mate.
Elsa's going to ask what.
Oh,
was
Elsa,
he
sorry,
doing
I've
up
got
there.
places. Sorry, go ahead.
Elsa's going to ask what he was doing up there.
Not your business. Go away. Leave Skitter be.
As this is going on, I've reached onto the bar and grabbed the heavy silver bell that is sitting next to me that I use as my casting focus.
Nice. It makes a slight jingle, but Skitter seems quite interested, shall we say, in what's going off with this Featherfall business. He doesn't tend to notice it. What is noticed, however, is the tumultuous racket he's making, and the bartender appears out of this swinging door, and his eyes immediately lay on it. And Deptrek, you've seen him do this once or twice before in the last time you visited, but his hand goes flying underneath the counter and comes out holding a very wicked-looking club. What the hell is that?
No, Skitter not fight. Skitter just watch. Skitter just listen.
Is that
not
thing
fight.
sentient?
Now. What's sentient? What's sentient mean? Tell Skitter.
He looks towards you, Deptrek. Is this something you dug up?
Ugh. No, if it was something I dug up, it'd already be back in its grave.
Looks like it just belongs there. If you don't want to drink, get out.
Skitter have coin. Skitter buy drink. No, Skitter not belong in grave. Skitter put things in grave. Yes, for coin. Wanted to remain hidden, but made me lose concentration. All your fault, he says to the human next to him, and he slopes off. He slopes towards the bar with sort of quick, skittery movements, is all I can describe. He sort of skitters up to the bar and sort of slams down a silver coin, saying, "Drink, give me drink, give Skitter drink."
You see the bartender pick it up, and he glances at this coin for a moment, and he looks at Deptrek, and Deptrek, you remember he does have a habit for biting coins to check if they're real. And look, he looks at this, looks back at the creature, and just quietly pockets the coin. And then draws a very cheap tankard of ale and slides it across quite uncertainly, with his other hand still clutching this club. A very wary eye on whatever this mishevelled being seems to be.
I'm gonna give Skitter a look over. I'm gonna activate Eyes of the Grave, just to test to make sure I'm not sitting next to something undead.
Okay, he doesn't appear to be undead.
Okay.
Yeah, actually notices the movement.
Loosen my grip on my belt for a little bit, and I go back to nursing the pint that I've got.
Yeah, Skitter actually just quickly notices the movement, and his head whips over to you, and you see what looks almost like it could be a dragon face, but it's very pale pink scales, and you see dark fur all around the eyes and the top of its head. For a moment, it sort of looks strangely half rat, and so Skitter snatches the ale and spills some on the counter, and he again peers at the barkeep warily. Say, "There, Skitter buy drink. Skitter stay now. Yes."
I suppose, he says, and he slowly slides the club back underneath the bar.
Skitter quickly hurries off to the darkest corner of the bar.
You see the barkeep look back behind the bar, and he pulls out this piece of paper and a pencil, and he keeps glancing up in your direction and scribbling something. In Deptrek, you notice that it's a piece of paper that looks very similar to 3 that are already sat behind the bar with a little note under each portrait that says "Do not serve." And the first one is of a dwarf with a pair of short swords and a very rakish-looking grin. The second one is of an orc with half of his face apparently burned off, it appears. And the third one is of a white dragonborn that seems to have a very, very tiny pint glass stuck on the end of its elongated tongue and can't seem to get it off in the portrait.
Oh, I knew that would come back to haunt me.
So Skitter runs off into the dark corners of the bar, and outside we're going to cut to Brynjar as you enter the village of Longsaddle. Now, as you enter in, it's a sprawling village, but majority of it is built around the main road, and the main road follows up from the Tribow Trail. It's very well travelled. And as you enter, you'll see that there's quite a lot of shops and a big, wide open town square that seems oddly empty, and you assume that this is because on the market days that the Longsaddle is famous for, a lot of stalls would be brought in that are more mobile and they're quick to build and quick to dismantle. In the centre, there's standing a large stone statue, and as you look at the name underneath, it says Siegfried Harpel, who's you can only assume is one of the famous Harpel wizards. And as you progress further into the town, you see the Golden Goose Tavern standing tall and proud at the far end of the road. And just outside it, you see... Well, Arthur, what does he see?
Me?
No. You see what Arthur is about to tell me he sees.
All right. So there is a short but very, very, very stout dwarven female with standing here behind what seems to be a cast iron stove that's just sat there on a few lion paw claw feet. Seems to be heavy roaring fire in it. Good smell coming off something in a big cast iron rock that she's handling. She has really, really big, firm arms, which are she has her entire upper part rolled up to the entirety. You see really beefy, fat arms. What you also see is that she continuously seems to be putting stuff in her mouth. Maybe adding to the shape that she's currently in. Has a grin on her face, but it's still a little bit of a dark look in her eyes. And whenever someone comes near her stove, she immediately rushes towards them and tries to force something to eat in their hands. Yeah, she's here outside of the inn, serving people that are interested in her recipes.
So, Brynjar, you see all this as you approach. The question is, what does Arthur see? How does Brynjar appear?
Yeah, and as Brynjar is interested in the
Outside area of the inn.
the
Terrace, right?
Yeah, I'm going to the dwarf, and I have the really angry scowl on my face, and I ask the dwarf that is the cooking fresh here?
Well, of course, dearie. I make sure all my ingredients are as fresh I can personally slay them.
And she says with a big smile while tapping a giant axe on her back that seems to be having residue of bone splinters and bone marrow and blood on it.
So I make sure everything that I make is fresh. Would you like anything? I mean, you have a frown on your face. I'm sure I can make something sweet to turn that upside down.
No, did you suppose?
Okay, so she starts putting something that's that's currently brewing in the wok on a plate, and you get a small plate that has only 3 things on it really, which is a small little bit, a little curl of what seems to be something mashed and white yellow, with a little bit of green in there. You see the smallest bit of T-bone steak, and next to that is a single pea.
I'm getting hungry.
Wow, real gourmet. How much is it?
Well, this is just the starter, dear. Just sit down, and I'll bring you the rest afterwards. It's a gold piece for a meal, all included, of course.
All right. And I take out the single coin and place it on the table.
All right. She just leaves it there while still tending on to her stove and to her cooking. She pulls out a chopping board and starts chopping up all different kinds of vegetables and greens. With actually, it's a big chef's knife, and if you would probably hold it, it would be the size of a short sword even. So it's abnormally big, but in her hands, it still looks small.
And as Arthur continues with this cooking and setting up these meals, Ken, do you have proficiency with the culinary tools? Have you got the culinary tools?
I do,
You do? Can you roll me a check to see how good of a meal you've prepared?
of course.
And as this is going on, Brynjar, you see a large, beefy human figure come wandering out with the barkeep's apron. You can assume this is the tavern keeper. And you're in a small, almost a beer garden, in essence, outside of the tavern. So you're not the only patron. And he comes out and he's wiping down tables, clearing out old glasses and that sort of thing. And he gives you a nod upon seeing you. Oh, welcome to the Golden Goose Tavern. Can I get you a drink?
Sure. I could use a drink. And it doesn't even look
Splendid.
direction of it.
I'll get you one of Longsaddle's finest, a cask of fine ale.
Meanwhile, I shout,
Dearie, could you get some of the fresh chicken from inside as well? I want to cook this fine gentleman a nice meal. Thank you.
Of course. And he wanders back inside, bustles his way through, and as he's passing through, he gives Ari a look over. You want to top up there, love?
Sure, I guess. And if you end up having any trouble with that thing that fell through the ceiling, specialty, just let me know.
He was on the ceiling.
Skitter that fell through the.
Yeah, but the barkeep was actually in the back when he fell, so he was unaware of this at the time. So he gives it a look.
And he's like,
I wonder if he could get him to clean out the cobwebs. Well, anyway, I appreciate the thought. But my cudgel tends to do quite well. And he potters back in. He takes your glass, potters back in. Comes back with a handful of ale and an armload of chicken as well in a basket. And he slides
speaking
one across
about,
to you.
Ale, we got a cheers coming in from Gloss and Gadgets.
Hey! So on that note,
Pouring that cheer.
on that note, for those of you watching the stream, you guys are actually earning XP as you do so, and you can use that to redeem certain benefits or disadvantages for the party. So things like player advantages, a quick cheers, disadvantages for players and DMs and party posters, all sorts of things. By all means, feel free to use it, and we'll throw them in as the stream goes on. So yeah, he comes back out, he slides you this glass of ale, and he wanders back outside. Arthur, you see him come out and he hands you this basket full of fresh chicken. And Brynjar, he points you the pint in front of you and gives you a nod. First one's on the house for strangers.
Also, I rolled a 21 on my cooking.
Splendid. Brynjar, as you start to tuck into the starters, in essence, that would be a full meal for most beings, you find that this is one of the best meals you've ever tasted. It's an odd combination of things, but it leaves a lingering taste on your tongue, and it's got just a hint of spice. This is far beyond the usual fare you'll find in any tavern.
This is really great. This is great. And what's your name?
My name is Arthur, dearie. Arthur Edwards.
Brynjar.
Well, nice to meet.
I was wondering, is there been any problems?
Any problems around town you meet? Well, I've been setting up outside mostly if you need to
talk more about stuff going on in the town, you might want to check inside the inn. Uh, I've been, as I said, mostly working on refining my recipes in the towns I encounter, and finding a few places that I can also have a bit of a different challenge. And there's a little bit of a smug smile when she says that.
I see.
So, is that something that you're looking for? Some adventure and means of getting around?
Uh, well, you see, I'm a bit out of work right now, and I deal with special problem.
Special problems?
Yes, certain example undead and fiends, that sort of thing.
Oh, so you're a slayer of bad things, so to say.
Yes.
I waddle a bit in that in my day as well. Well, not cooking, because I've noticed that especially parts where a lot of death seem to be buried, a few interesting herbs are to be found, which are always interesting to add to my new recipes. As I said, I go out to find new things for what I make.
You mentioned herbs. Are there any good places to get any kind of alchemical equipment, like uh, alchemical ingredients of any kind?
Do I know of such a thing around here?
You know that the Harpels tend to have the odd bits and pieces that floats down to the populace. It's generally cast off some experiments that they've done in the past that they don't need anymore. Odd bits and pieces that perhaps the servants have managed to filter over the years. They do occasionally pop up in stalls around the marketplace, but it's not marketplace for another 2 days, and it's rare to catch them. It's not to say it's
Uh,
impossible, but it is rare.
Also, for my own recipes and stuff I'd find, I would travel through black markets to find certain ingredients. I'm not opposed to traveling there and finding people there for my recipes, so maybe
Long
there as well.
Saddle doesn't really have a black market setup. You've been there long enough now to know that anything like that would attract the ire of the Harpools, and most of the villagers are very concerned about not doing just that.
Right. I know there's a few places where you can find some stuff like that, but it's mostly regulated by the Harpels themselves. If you do want to find more, it's best to go out there and try to find it yourself. Or maybe even try to get in contact with a good herbalist around there.
Well, thanks anyway. And I return back to my ale.
As you do that, not only you, but everybody who happens to have a ale or a drink of some fashion, and even the people who are just regularly in the tavern, those of you who are magically attuned, you get an odd tingling sensation at the backs of your necks. And even the barkeep looks up as he re-enters the tavern. Oh, aye, here we go. And as he says that, each of you that hold a drink, you find the mug in your hand actually sneezes. And it spews the contents all over the floor. And as you look down, you see that the rim of your mug is beginning to move, rather like a mouth. And you hear a voice emanate from it. Yes. Greetings, regular folk of the privateer profession. I'm Tristan Harpool. How do you do? No, don't answer that, I don't care. Do you like gold? Of course you do. Your kind always like gold. Well, it just so happens that I have a sturdy payment for such a crew as yourselves. If you look out the window to the west, you'll see Ivy Mansion, a magnificent structure. I know. I have recently inherited the old northeast wing of the manor after my great uncle Siegfried died somehow. Anyways, it's full of nasty little annoyances that I simply do not have the time or energy to deal with. If you could clear out the nuisances that Uncle Siegfried left behind, say 150 gold pieces to each of you.
First thing I do is I pull a little bit of a slab of bacon that I have on my cooking table somewhere, and I try to feed this talking mouth a slice of bacon.
It seems to get sucked straight down, almost like a whirlpool eddy, just and it vanishes from sight.
That's the exact result I was hoping for. So.
I've been in for a little bit of a job. I mean, my muscles have been relaxing for a bit. I'm in.
Hmm. Uh, what what can you tell him about these creatures?
Oh, heavens, I don't know. I've not been in yet. It needs to be renovated. I'm not going in there until it's fixed up. No. It's for you to just find out, okay? Uncle Siegfried was rather batty, you know. Anyway, if you are interested, do go to the bar and order an ivy port, if you'd be so kind. Ta-ta! And all of a sudden, the mugs lose this magical property and go back to their usual selves, but quite a lot of the liquid's gone out as a result of all this splashing and sloshing that's happened.
You hear a hiss as a dirty dagger flashes in the dark corner of the tavern, and you see this little hooded rat poking his mug suspiciously.
You see Deptech, Bridget, barkeep.
And the barkeep, Goblin
Ivy.
Took It, as you might know him, comes across to you.
Can I get an ivy port?
Absolutely. But be careful. As much as I like the Harples, experiments tend to be a bit experimental.
Yeah, I hear you, but I also heard death and magic, and it's something that sounds like I might be duty bound to deal with anyways.
Meanwhile, outside, I will serve my main course, and a few minutes later, my finished course. So the main course is chicken, the same way it's served in the inn at the moment, because that's the way I'm treating it right now. And the final course is a little bit of fresh walnuts with fruit and a homemade sweet syrup made of different kinds of sugars that I found along different continents and places that I've been along.
And in Brynjar, it's up to the same standards as the last starter that you ate as well. This is absolutely delectable cooking.
And afterwards, I will start washing up my gear, putting out the stove, strapping everything onto the stove itself. And yeah, you'll see, for the people who might be outside as well, you'll see that from the back of the stove, two straps come out, big leather straps. I move under it. You see the straps going over my shoulders, and I heave this entire thing onto my back. And with that, I move into the inn.
I follow and go to the innkeep and tell the what was the name?
The drink you were asked to order was an ivy port.
Yeah, no, I mean the dwarf's name.
Oh, Arthur.
Arthur, that was best meal I had in months, at least. And
It's my job to keep people fat, isn't it? That's my job and task as a cook. No matter what you look like, or who you're opposing, or who you're for, everybody needs a good meal. Also, remember, breakfast is the most important meal of the day.
And I hand you also, while saying that, I hand you a small slab of bacon that's really crispy and seems to be sugar coated.
wise words. And I go to the innkeeper and ask for the eye people.
Okay, so he pulls out two of them, and he slides one to Deptrek, one to Brynjar, and he does look up as Arthur approaches with this enormous cooking implement on his back, her back rather. Don't tell me you're going as well.
Of course I am, dearie. I'm gonna have to help.
Look around.
Who's helping?
He looks crestfallen at this. It's just, whatever you do, don't go and get yourself killed. For pity's sake, you know that there's a job here for you if you feel like it, right? The trade you pulled in was nothing short of phenomenal last day we had a market.
Well, what would you expect with one of the Atwood's family?
Just
Unfortunately, dearie, I still have to look for my mother's famous pot pie recipe, and until I have that, I cannot settle anywhere. So first things first, I need to find my sister somewhere.
well, the moment you find it, know that there's a place here for you in my kitchen any time.
Trust me, when I find that recipe, you'll get 20 times the amount of people coming in right now.
And you can see it's not dollar signs, it's coin signs, whatever the D&D sign is, almost reflecting in this guy's eyes. And he immediately starts looking around, I'm going to have to expand this place.
So then you see the hooded shadow scuttle up to the bar, and the mug sort of slam onto the counter. Says, "No, Skitter not let silly humans take all coin. Skitter goes too. Ah, and dwarf thing carrying kitchen on back. No, you not get all coin. Skitter gets coin as well."
Autumn's head slowly turns towards Skidder. Skidder, how well fed do you look?
You can't tell he's in loose tattered robes that look like they've never been washed.
You're small, right? And skinny, maybe?
Again, you can't tell if he's skinny, but he's about 2.5 foot, 3 foot tall. But quite clearly because he's appears to be a giant rat.
All right. I look around somewhere on the tables if someone has some food on there, or maybe on the bar itself, and I pull a big slab of chicken.
First things first, my child, you need some food to get in you to get some more strength in there. In this state, you're not able to help us at all.
Yeah. Skitter hungry?
Of course you're hungry. Look at you.
You have food for Skitter?
And I'm reaching a big chicken's foot towards you right now.
Yeah. You see a hand quickly whip out and snatch it, and you hear this disgusting slavering, chittering sound as he devours this chicken. Silly dwarf kitchen, better. Trust you more than fat humans. Talking cup.
I think you need to relax a little bit more.
No, relax. Relax is death. Must always be looking. Must always be watching, listening. And he sort of starts mumbling to himself as he turns away.
Meanwhile, the barkeeper's pulled out 4 goblets, actually, in the form of golden geese. And he reaches into the bar and he pulls out this large wine bottle, which you can assume is the Ivy Port. And he begins to pour out 4 equal portions. But he does glance towards the heavily armed figure sitting at the back of the table. You're not interested? You look quite capable. A bit more so than some, he says, glancing at Skitter.
So Ari looks up, and she's kind of taking her time. She seems very unfazed by this talking mug. And she finishes whatever was left and stands up. Iman very kind of deliberately moves towards the bar.
Splendid. He pulls out a 5th goblet, rather. Elsa, is there any movement from you?
Elsa is currently writing very frantically in a notebook everything that just occurred. From the magic tingling to the talking cups. So you hear her mumbling, "What magic was that? I need to know this magic. Port Ivy, whatever it was."
And 6.
Gets up, closes the book, realizes there's a huge all the wine and whatever has been spilled on the floor. Just casts prestidigitation just to clean it all up, and then walks to the bar.
Well, there's mages and cleaning up. It's lovely. Splendid. So he pulls out these.
How does Skidder smell?
Sorry?
How does Skidder smell?
He smells like he looks, quite rancid.
I nod toward. I'm sorry. What was her name? The sorcerer.
Elsa.
Yeah.
I nod towards Elsa and I say, "Mind? Smells like smells like something died over here." And I nod towards Skidder.
Very well. She just clicks her fingers, prestidigitation on Skitter.
You say this. No! No! Ah! You keep bad magic away from Skitter!
As you wish. I won't catch you next time you fall, Skitter.
Do not ask for your help. Skitter fine. Skitter only lost concentration because stinky humans all around him.
Alright, look. We're going to be entering some danger. Last thing we need is your stink distracting us.
Human noses. Not know anything. No, not smell anything right. No.
Human, you haven't noticed I'm not much taller than you.
Size me nothing when blades come from the shadows.
True enough, at least you seem to have some wisdom to give.
Come, coin, mustard coin.
And as this comes to an end, you find the barkeeper's poured the last of the ivy port and slides a glass to each of you in turn. Best of luck.
Do we drink this, or is it going to start talking to us as well?
Not as far as I've ever seen, but you never quite know with the Harples. If I were you, I'd make sure to drink it sharpish. All in one go.
Chug it down in one go. After adding a small little bit of crispy bacon with sugar into it.
I know what I'm going to be doing during the break. Maybe grabbing a pizza or something.
For those of you wondering at home, I did give Ken inspiration for doing live on-stream cooking in character. So he's got that there for him. So as you guys drink this ivy port, there's a pulling and tugging sensation to you. Some of you may have experienced teleportation before. If you have, it's a very familiar sensation. For those of you that haven't, it feels almost like you're being sucked out of your own body, turned inside out, and then pushed back into it. And the world fades away, and then suddenly springs back into view, and you find yourself in a very different location. You find yourself...
Oh, a little bit of warning for that would have been nice.
You find yourself in the hallway of an ancient manor. Before you are a set of ornate doors with circular handles. A portrait of an older man with aristocratic clothes lies on the floor, as if discarded. Hanging in its place on the wall is the portrait of a younger man, his face exuding snootiness and condescension. The nameplate beneath it reads Tristan Harpel. The nameplate on the portrait on the floor reads Siegfried Harpel. And as you guys pop into view in this long corridor, Tristan's portrait eyes you, the eyes into your direction, and it begins to speak. Ah, welcome to Ivy Mansion, ancient home of the Harpel dynasty. Ignore my uncle down there, one of the servants was supposed to hang him in the bathroom. Anyway, if my enchantments work correctly, one of you should now have a pair of keys in your pocket. Now, the brass one opens the double doors to the northeast wing in front of you, and the silver one is for the vault to the underground levels. I hear there's some rather nasty stuff down there, so please lock it if you get the chance. Clatter, that's the name of the caretaker who I've just sent inside, has a map of the whole floor. Just be sure to ask him for it. Now, I need you to go to each room and clear out anything irritating. Do that and you'll receive your proper recompense. Now, if you'll excuse me, there's a plump little maid at the Gilded Horseshoe who I promised to share some ivy port with. Best of luck to both parties, eh? And it gives you a wink, and then stops speaking, though you notice his visage seems to have a bit more of a prominent smirk on it than it did a second ago.
Lizards, Holmes.
Pull
Oh,
out a book, start trying again.
More tricky now, talking paintings.
Jerry, that was not the painting talking, that was a guy making the painting speak.
No matter.
I'll be looking in my pockets for the key. If I have it?
You don't find him.
Ari looks in her pockets and pouches and everywhere.
You find them, Irie, in one of your pouches. And it's, as he says, one silver and one brass ring.
And I will also be drawing my long sword. And as I draw it, I also take out my glove, and the hand is completely riddled with scars. And as I draw it, I draw a bit of blood on my long sword, and it sets in flame. And
See Skitter cower a little bit as the flame comes out.
I set my shield on my arm and grab the bell back up. Both of them are carved with a skeletal hand holding a set of scales on.
I look to any of these guys if you look at all armored in any way.
Deptech you see wearing underneath his oiled jacket is a set of brass and silver colored scale mail.
All right.
Also, as I did the Fire Thin, I took 3 points of damage, and that's like maximum. So I'm at 34.
Okay. I presume that gives you some sort of benefit?
Yeah, my sword that deals like additional 1d4 fire damage, and it's magical.
How long does that last for?
Long as I hold my sword, or
Splendid. That's fine. Splendid. Remind me, is Brynjar wearing armor?
He is wearing scale mail.
Okay, so Artham, you will see that Brynjar and Deptech are wearing scale mail. Skitter is difficult to tell with all the robes. Irie and Elsa? Elsa, I believe, is in robes.
Yeah, just robes.
And Ari's in leather armor. Kind of head to toe, neck to toe.
All right. So you see me weighing in the left hand my walk, and in the right hand the giant axe that I had on my back. And I put my walk away, and I hold this axe with 2 hands and start looking around a bit.
Skitter's going to. You see that he's drawn a pair of filthy, dirt encrusted, quite wicked looking daggers, and he just goes up to the painting and just starts poking it, just testing it.
Are you poking the frame or the canvas?
Just the frame, not enough to puncture it, obviously, but just enough to touch it.
Right, there's no reaction from the painting.
Not trust this house.
You're wise not to. It's a wizard's mansion.
Yeah. So where we go?
Well, the only thing visible to you guys is a pair of double doors in front of you. To which Irie should have the key.
There's only one way to go.
So Irie's going to pull out one of her short swords because her other hand has the keys, and she goes, onward?
Humans and dwarf kitchen go first. Skitter lets in shadows.
And she just kind of looks at Skitter and shrugs and walks forward to unlock the door.
Alright, it's a very ornate pair of double doors, about as tall as they are wide. And as you click the lock, they both swing open, almost automatically. And it gives you a glimpse down a very ornate looking hallway with fantastic decor. It's got some beautiful wall alcoves and a plush red carpet going the whole way through. There's a number of mirrors, and by a number I mean at least 100, covering the walls. They're of every shape and size imaginable. Can you all make me perception checks?
14.
17.
14 as well.
11.
12.
What was Skitter's?
6.
Everybody but Skitter hears a steady thump. 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 And you can't quite see where it's coming from. But at the far end of the hallway you can see a mirror against the wall facing you guys, and what appears to be a hallway going this way, and then that way. So you seem to be at the end of a T-junction. And the thumping seems to be coming from the right-hand corridor.
And there's no other doors or anything along the...
There are a number of doors, indeed. Let me refer to my map. There's a door to your right, and a door to your left, about halfway down the T-junction.
How high is the corridor? How high is the ceiling?
About 20 feet.
Cool. Is there anything that look like handholds, anything jutting out?
There's a couple of regressed alcoves that have a few decorative objects in them. And above there are a few very ornate-looking chandeliers dotting the way down with the light reflecting through all the various mirrors. So you could potentially get into the alcoves, and maybe make a jump to the chandelier if you were so inclined.
Yep, that's what he'll do.
Okay, go
I'll
ahead
give
and
you
make
a hand
me.
with that. Actually, I want to give you a boost.
All right, Dex check with advantage.
Sweet.
And while you're doing all this, you can just still hear that steady thump, thump, thump.
Does it sound like it's getting louder, or is it just?
It sounds as if it's getting closer.
That's a 22, by the way.
Yeah, you make it no problem. So everybody else just sees this pile of rags leap up into this alcove, scrabble at the wall, and then jump backwards. And it's up and the chandelier swinging for a second, and then it's up and on top of them. However, because it's a chandelier and it's bright light, it's distorted now in a lot of the mirrors. So it does look a little bit off.
I will be going to the junction section and look at the right side.
All right. Are you going to try and do it stealthily, or are you just walking off up there?
Yeah, stealthily.
All right, go ahead and roll me a stealth check.
I'm getting very Resident Evil feeling from this mansion.
Going well already.
21.
21. Splendid. So, as you get to the corner, you look round, and no more than 10 feet away from you is a suit of armour that appears to be moving, and a steady and relentless clunk. 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 It doesn't appear to have noticed you.
I will be hitting with my sword in it, and when it comes to goes
Turns to
here.
pass. Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else doing anything?
Do we see it as well?
If you'd have gone up to the corner, you would have.
Then I don't.
No.
Has anybody gone up to follow Brynjar yet? Or
I'm following, but at probably about 20 feet behind, so that I'm not giving away his position. Because I see what he's doing, but I'm not even going to bother trying to be stealthy because I know I'm not.
Splendid.
And I think Ari is probably right behind Deptek, kind of staying close to the wall, but at this point she's put her keys away and has pulled both short swords out from her back.
No problem. You guys do pass a pair of doors as you're going on, but again, just this corridor of mirrors that keeps going on. You see your reflections through it and everything. Brynjar, go ahead and roll me an attack as this thing moves into range.
With advantage because I'm stealth.
Yeah, you're stealth, you're hiding. Yeah.
Oh, that's... yeah, that's bad. That's 7.
Okay, as you step out from the corridor and you swing this blade in a horizontal arc, there's a creak of rusty metal, and all of a sudden a hand comes up and bang, catches the sword blade mid-swing. And it begins to pull it from your grasp. I need you to make me a strength check to hold on to it.
No, clumsy human.
Athletics, right?
Yeah.
That's +5, 22.
Splendid. You have no problem. As soon as you feel the pull, you rip the sword straight back. However, as you do so, the visor of this suit of armour flips up, and you see there's nothing in it. It's completely empty and void. And it stops. It doesn't make any aggressive move towards you. And its head tilts a little bit, as if looking at you sort of for the first time. And it's strange. It's got no expression, but its body language seems to communicate it's actually quite hurt, but not physically.
You hurt the magic armor's feeling.
Yeah. It makes no aggressive move toward you whatsoever.
Yeah, I go into the sort of low defensive stance and just look at the armor.
Okay. Again, it makes no move. Non-aggressive anyway.
Can you see this happening?
You will have seen Brynjar leap around the corner and swing his longsword vertically, and then nothing happened. You'll have heard a clang of metal, and him pull the sword back, and then just stop.
Ari is going to kind of questionably ask the name of the painting man. Said the name of a assistant, or
He did, and he said Clatter. The name was Clatter, and that was the name of the caretaker you were told to expect.
so she's just gonna say, "Any chance you're Clatter?"
And it stands up, pulls its arms in, and then with a squeak of metal.
I just set down my sword and sheathe it, and then with that the flames go out. And I look, and I do small some vegetables bow, like very lazy bow, and I apologize.
It gives you a thumbs up.
Wizards always leaving out the important details. And I put my belt back onto my waist and walk up to it.
I'll move
You
up
had
a
a
with you.
map for us or something?
I'll move up as well.
It potters this for a moment, and then its hand pops up as though it's got an idea. And all of a sudden it makes this unscrewing motion with its helmet. And it removes it completely, and it's just a shapeless, empty space where the head should be on any normal person. And its metal-gloved hand reaches into the helmet, and it begins to scrabble around, and it pulls something out that looks like a long piece of string, and it tosses it over its shoulder, and it goes back in again. It pulls out a small makeup mirror, and it tosses that over its shoulder, and it goes in again, and it finally pulls out this long sheet of paper, and it hands it to you, and then starts putting the head back into place. And what you will see, I'm going to try and get this as good as I can for you guys, is this map. Don't know how good you guys can see the details there.
Yeah, we can discern a little bit of rooms there, so...
Yeah.
Yeah.
We see the
Okay,
room
what you've
shape
got
separate.
here
There
is
we go.
this room here is listed as the observatory. Okay?
Mhm.
And you can see at the top, Siegfried and Tristan's crossed his name out, put his own. This is the kitchen, apparently. I need to double check these, so I'm struggling to read it. This has the word billiard room written above it with a question mark. This room to the right of it, or left of it, depending on how you're looking at it, says guest room. Do I need one in brackets with a question mark? This hallway here is the T-junction. So you guys are here. You've just come up from this direction, and Clatter was here. So that's roughly where you are now, and you'll see the two doors on either side. The rooms that you've just passed, this one simply says sublet with a question mark. This one says swimming pool. And over here is potentially a library. I can refer you guys back to that as you need, but that's the map you're given.
Cool.
Thank you, Clatter.
It gives a nod of its head, again with that squeak of rusty metal.
Did you say that the suit that Claire was damaged, or
He doesn't
It
appear
looks
to be,
damaged?
no. He looks a little bit rusty, as if he's perhaps not been tended to for a while, but although the attack did come in at him, he caught it in his metal hand with no problem whatsoever. Doesn't appear to have any scratches, dents, or anything like that. A bit of dust and a bit of rust.
Okay, so just from above, see the shadows dance along the walls as this figure clambers along the chandeliers. You just hear this whisper, this scratching sound, and metal man, show us where things are to be killed. We kill things for coin.
Its head looks up at you and it exposes a bit of the undervisor, and again, just that black void. And it points up to it and gives you a tilt of its head to those of you who are stood in front of it.
Yeah, we haven't figured it out yet either.
And it gives a shrug of its shoulders at that.
Well, what are we still standing around here for? Shall we just find out what's wrong?
We're charged with clearing this place. We might as well just check each room, I guess.
That's my exact thought. We already passed a few rooms. Might as well check those out first.
As long as we have to look in the library. Just definitely want to look in the library.
Yes, tin things stay out of our way.
Okay, if you're referring to the map, what's marked as the library is in the hallway off to the left of you, and it's the bottom door on the left.
I say we start with the pool and the other room across from it. We'll get to the library eventually, though. We've got to check them all.
With a sigh, Elsa just nods. I'll follow you.
This way we make sure we don't miss anything. Just start at the beginning and work our way through.
I will also set down my kitchen at basically where we almost entered, so it's in a clear spot and we don't run into it.
No problem.
I will pull off basically a bit that's sort of like a backpack which has my basic gear in it. That's not kitchen related.
Okay.
It does have a wok and a big chef's knife hanging on it still, and a sort of this hammer that has these pyramids on it that you usually use to hammer down on meat.
Sorry.
No worries. No worries. So you guys want to head back down the corridor you've just come and explore the two rooms you've passed, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
As you're heading back down the corridor, are you going in the room on the left or the room on the right? The room to your left is marked as the swimming pool. The room to your right is marked as sublet ?
Let's go to the question mark room.
Yeah, no problems with that.
Alright. So these doors aren't locked, so there's no need for the keys. As you go into the room on your right, you see a room that has 2 chairs and 1 sofa centered around a bearskin rug. 4 pots of plants rest in each corner, and a painting of the moon sits above the fireplace next to a crosshatched tapestry that reads Home Sweet Home. The rest of it is decorated much as you've seen the rest of the manor. It's very ornate, very well kept. It's very aristocratic and noble. If any of you's been in the sort of noble house, it wouldn't look unfamiliar.
Skitter slinks down from the chandeliers and enters the room. And is there anything unusual about it? Anything? I think what you'll probably do is, again, just with his daggers, just probe everything he passes.
Yep.
To see if it's sort of moving.
Okay. Skitter, as you step towards the furniture, I need you to make a near dex save, please.
Oh, that one.
Splendid. Right, where's my sheet?
Someone's cursed.
Why me? Surely one of those nights, isn't it?
Skitter, as you move towards the sofa, all of a sudden it begins to warp and twist. This enormous mouth begins to form in between the cushions and the bed base, and all of this mouth reaches up to you, and it suddenly grapples you, in essence. It slams down on your arms and begins to pull you into it. And we are going to enter into combat, people. You've just found a mimic.
Yay!
So, top of the round, because we've already rolled initiative beforehand, for those of you following at home, so we're not going to get caught up in that. Top of the round, Arthur. You've just seen Skitter walk up,
because I rolled a natural 20 on my initiative. The viewers do get
yes, they do
XP bonus for this, so I will add that now. I will charge up to this strange mimic thing and just two-handedly go wild. You see me just almost a rat ferocity coming into my eyes, and the things that looked like maybe fat on my arms just comes together, and it seems to be pure and flat muscle. Nothing more than that. There's no inch of fat in her skin and her body whatsoever. And she comes out with her axe and makes a reckless attack on the mimic.
Splendid. Go for it.
This pink scaled tail flailing about, going.
Let me make sure. Give me a second.
Yes, Leonie is right. I did offend these dice.
That's a 15 to hit.
15 will hit. How much damage you do?
Sorry, dice.
That's 13 points of slashing damage.
All right.
And you also see that the axe itself sparks up a bit with some radiant force or radiant energy that seems to spark from it, and it does an additional 2 radiant damage.
Okay.
From my divine soul, Seedletry Barbarian. Yeah.
So you come wailing in with this battle axe and give it a massive slice, and you chop off a good portion of the cushion on the armchair. Next up, Elsa.
Let's see. Does it look flammable?
It's furniture in essence, or it appears to be furniture, so there's a good chance of it.
This could end badly. I cast Firebolt onto it.
Go for it.
13.
13 will hit it.
Four fire damage.
4 points of fire damage, no problem. So you start blazing away with this firebolt. It's a cantrip, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, splendid. So you blaze away with this firebolt, and it smashes straight into the back cushion and leaves a nice blackened mark, and the scent of burnt fabric wafts in the air.
Interruption for your redemption. You have a redemption of a party potion from DM Ben of our own Fumbles and Fame channel. So
nice one.
That's for you, Sam.
Okay. That's not one that you guys have immediately, but I will give that to you in a moment. So, as this is going on, all of you suddenly notice that the 4 potted plants in each corner of the room begin to move. There's a snapping of twigs as 2 arms begin to sprout out of each one, and then it lifts itself up out of this potted plant, and a bunch of roots and twigs begin to propel it across the floor towards each of you. They're about 10 foot away at this current moment in time, but these animated twigs, in essence, start going for you. And Arthur, I believe you were one of the first ones in the room. So they're going to attempt to hit you.
Okay.
Does a... That's actually not bad. Does a 20 hit you? Not a critical, it's just a 20. Yeah.
Dirty 20.
Dirty 20. We do like them. You take 3 points of damage. The second one goes for Elsa. Does a 16 hit you?
Yeah.
Okay, you take 5 points of piercing damage. The third one misses completely, and the fourth one goes again for Arthur. I need to know if a 18 hits you.
It does.
Okay, you take another 4 points of piercing damage. So all of a sudden, this horde of skittering trees come running towards you. You manage to dodge out of the way of the first, but one of them rips a good chunk out of your shins. Elsa, you notice one leap up at you, in essence, and it gets a good slice in at your midriff. Just as that happens, Arthur punts a kick at one of the others and manages to knock it back and avoid its attack, but a second one leaps on and starts gnawing away at his ankles. And with that, we're on to Skitter, who's currently getting eaten alive. Or dead, whatever you are.
So Skitter will can he attempt to cut his way out with his daggers?
You can do. You're grappled, so it's very difficult for you to move at the moment and get your free range, but you can make an attempt to break out.
just frenzied, like he's got his daggers in his hands already, so he's just struggling.
Yeah, because this is a mimic and they've got certain properties, you are going to have to do this with disadvantage.
Yep. Oh, that's a 21 and a 18.
18. That's good. It's stronger than the mimic. So you manage to plunk both your daggers into the backboard of this settee, this sofa, and give it a shunt, and the next second there's a slurping, and you find yourself popped back into the centre of the room.
Excellent. He will then attempt to use his second attack. He's there snarling, enraged. He'll use his second attack to try and carve a chunk out of it. That will be an 18.
Yep, that'll hit.
Okay, and that'll be a 5 piercing damage.
Okay, yeah, as it's almost just have this ethereal tongue that begins to lick at the centre of these cushions as it spits you out. And you go in with a slice, and you manage to actually cut a piece of it off.
Excellent, and that will be it.
Okay, Ari.
So she is going to go for whichever plant thing is closest.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them pretty much on the doorway. You guys haven't got all that far into the room, so there's 2 of them next to you in essence.
So she's going to go at one of them, and she has 2 up and fighting. So the first attack is the first swing she's going to make is an 18.
Yep, that'll hit.
And then she's going to get 8 damage to that.
Okay. And what was your roll for the second attack?
11.
Okay. So, as you see Arthur fighting off these things that are clawing at his ankles, you get a good swipe into one, and you just completely slice the top end of this thing off, and it falls to the ground lifeless. But as you go into the second one, Arthur actually sticks his leg to one side, or her leg to one side, and it puts you off a little bit, and your sword chinks against the ground as it misses, unfortunately. Anything else from you?
That's it.
Okay. Let's see how this gets on. Skitter, does a 9 hit you?
No.
Okay, so you see the mimic reach out and attempt to snatch you again, but you're aware of it this time, and you manage to deftly sidestep.
Cool.
And with that, we are on to Deptrick, I believe. Sorry, no, Brynjar. Brynjar's first. I beg your pardon.
Yeah, I would be placing myself between the plants and the what was the sorcerer's name?
Elsa.
Yeah, Elsa. I place between Elsa and plants, and when I draw my sword, I relight it. So that's I am at 31 hit points.
Okay.
And I'll be attacking one of the...
Go for it.
Yeah, that was my bonus action, and I'm attacking. And that's not 1.
Oh dear. So although you managed to light this sword, the blaze of it against this darkness of this room manages to actually put you off, and as you're blinking, you swipe wildly, but all you manage to do is singe a piece of the carpet. Anything else from you?
Nothing else.
Okay, Deptrick.
How many of these creatures can I get within 5 feet of me?
Easily 2 of them. One of them would be on the other side of one of your party members, so you'd have to move around to get to him.
Okay, I'm going to position myself so I can get 2 of them within 5 feet of me.
Yep.
I'm going to raise my bell up, and it just gives a sharp peal followed by a flashing light, and I'm casting Word of Radiance. And they have to make a Constitution saving throw.
Con saves,
So that's
alright.
a 13.
13. They both fail it.
Okay. They both take 4 radiant damage.
Okay, how does it look when you activate this ability?
The bell gives off a sharp peal, and a radiant light starts to glow and just kind of flashes out from the bell.
Okay, as it flashes out, there's a sudden scent of cinders, ashes, burnt wood, and the two that are near you just get blasted back across the room and fall in a mess of broken branches and twigs, and they are out. With that, unless there's anything else,
Nope.
Arthur, you're back up.
So there's 2 more still standing, right?
One more. One more in the mimic.
I just charge at it, and I'm still in my first swing, and I just swing back with my great axe again, and hope to slice everything off. A reckless attack again, which would be a dirty 20 to hit.
Yeah, that'll definitely hit.
That would do 12 points of slashing damage, and an additional spark of radiance comes off it, which does an additional 4 points of radiant damage.
Very nice. So yeah, at this point, one of the cushions of this mimic looks completely smashed to pieces. We're going to move on to Elsa, if you finished Arthur.
So it's just the plants and the mimic, yes, or is the mimic dead?
The mimic's up and one of the plants is up. And one of them's very close to you, so it's within 5-foot striking distance if you need it to be.
Yeah, so I'm just going to cast Firebolt at that plant.
Go for it.
$13 again.
13 will hit.
For 5 fire damage.
Splendid. So it's a grazing hit, but it does hit. So it crashes into the foot of this thing, and all of a sudden you see the twig blight release its victim, and it grabs its leg, and it begins peeling this strange warbling noise, and it begins hopping around on one foot with this burning leg, trying to pat it out, and it starts running over to the mimic, dives underneath it, and then there's a shriveling, crackling sound as it finally gives way and dies, leaving you guys with just the mimic to go. Skitter!
Okay, I'm assuming Arthur is still in proximity, is in still melee proximity?
Yep.
Because otherwise I should have actually had sneak attack damage on that. Packmaster or pack rules for the kobold says that basically you don't have to be flanking them as long as somebody else is within 5 feet. So my bad on that. But yeah, still just with a frenzied Skitter's gonna hack and slash away in a frenzy with a 16 on his first attack.
16 will hit.
That'll be a 4 piercing plus 4 again, so 8 piercing damage.
Okay, you can actually hear a splintering from the wooden supports of this thing and a creaking sound. It sounds like it's on its last legs, pun intended.
And with that, he'll make its second attack with a 15.
Yep, that'll hit again.
And a 8. Another 8 piercing damage.
Okay, as this dagger goes in, you stab it well deep into the cushions, and all of a sudden there's a shrieking, warbling, and almost like a crushing, crumpling sound as this thing begins to fold in on itself. And the legs splay out, and it crashes to the floor, lifeless.
Ah! See, Skitter, not food, silly tricky chair.
Is that initiative?
That is out of initiative. Everything in the room is dead.
Are there still pieces of furniture that are not broken?
There is, let me have a double check, 2 more chairs and a bearskin rug.
I will smash the chairs.
Say this, I think Skitter's going to join him.
Just really call me unless they actually start attacking back, just to be sure, you know?
Yeah, I think Skitter's going to join you there and just leap with his daggers.
I love it. You put one mimic in, it goes complete paranoia.
As soon as they're done smashing the chairs, I'll just use mending to repair the chairs.
You get inspiration. Very nice. Brilliant. Actually, as you smash the first chair, Arthur, you bring your battle axe straight down through the middle of it, and it falls and splits in both ends. And as it does, you notice there's a small cap underneath it. It seems to be made of ermine and has a platinum brooch set with tiny sapphires. It's very exquisite craftsmanship.
It's not food. It's not anything related to food. So any of you want to have this?
Don't trust it. Perhaps try to eat you.
Oh, Elsa takes it from him.
Alright, Elsa, you give this thing a good once over. You can feel the quality and the texture of this thing. It's a step above what you would find anywhere else. It's very noble. Odds are this thing will be worth about 250 gold. As you smash the second chair, you all hear a tinkling of coin. And from behind the back of the cushions, you see a bunch of loose change begin to fall into the ground. All in all, there's about 37 gold pieces worth.
I think Skitter's just going to hear the tinkling of coin and instinctively make a dash for it.
I want to grab him in. I want a reaction. Grab him in his collar to stop him from diving towards the cash.
Skitter, are you going to resist that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, go ahead and roll me contest, boys. Contested athletics, please.
Athletics, okay. I hope this is the last one.
Your usual
I
dice
rolled a
luck, I
10.
see.
Yeah, nat one. God damn it.
Alright, Arthur, no problem whatsoever. This big meaty hand of yours just comes, grabs these robes, and Skitter's pedaling at the ground with all fours, and he's going absolutely nowhere.
You just feel the grasp of pure muscle in the fingers as well in your neck. Like
let's
this
get
is
that
this
go,
is
dwarf,
this is an iron grip.
Skitter, I want coin.
I will
Skitter
just
deserve coin.
I will lift him up a bit towards me and give him a piece of bacon.
Skitter's nose twitches. And he said, why you not let Skitter have coin?
You can have coin. Everybody can have coin.
Skitter got eaten, deserves more.
Well, we all deserve our equal part, don't we?
Fine,
Elsa
but...
nods and agrees while just pocketing that trinket that you just gave her.
Fine. Skitter deserves some coin. And he snatches the food and quickly scoffs it. Just like...
And then I will just let you go, even towards the coin itself.
With the amount of food that Skitter's ingested at this point, he's starting to lose the smell that he had originally. It's beginning to smell very much like bacon grease.
Oh, that's
Makes
bad.
him better, in my opinion.
It won't be good in a few days once it spoils. Okay.
As this is all going on, I'm just checking the room to make sure we haven't missed anything as far as clearing it out.
Okay, you can roll me investigation if you'd like.
Okay.
I will be helping.
21.
Okay, you can have advantage on it if you'd like. Brynjar's giving you a
Also,
hand.
don't forget the redemption.
21 still.
Yes.
Okay.
21, no problem. You do, thank you again for that one. You do find in the bottom of these plant pots, quite oddly enough, 4 potions under each one, 4 little red vials, and these are potions of healing.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm going.
It seems
to
plants
take
really
one.
are healthy for you. I'm sorry. But
Following
that's-
the Resident Evil trend.
That's as much as you find in the room. It appears to be devoid of any experiments or other issues that might arise.
I assume Artham's going to be dishing out the coins.
I'm not gonna touch the coins. I'm just gonna let you go. I just wanted to make the statement.
Okay. Skitter's going to just deliberately hang about near, and he's just going to watch everybody else just to see if anybody else is actually going to make a move for them.
Yeah. Brunjal just like puts them in 50-50 for each.
Okay.
I am going to distribute the potions. I'm going to go to each of the 4 upfront fighters.
So how many gold pieces is that each?
There was about 37 gold pieces altogether.
Okay.
So how much must they each?
How many of you is down? Gone. 6. isn't there? It's
Six.
about 6 gold
That one,
pieces a pop, with 1 left over.
And I gave the scritter the extra one.
He just snatches it. No other what Skitter deserves. Excellent. He's already doubled his wealth so far. That's awesome.
So that's a potion for the 4 melee cards, right?
Yeah, so I'm bringing one to Anthem, Vineyard, Skitter, and I can't remember the ranger's name. Sorry.
Airy.
And one to Airy.
Cool.
Splendid stuff. The first room is clear. So as you guys head back out into the Hall of Mirrors, you've got another room bang opposite the door you just entered, which is the one that's currently marked up as swimming pool. Otherwise, you're heading back down to the T-junction and the rooms that are going along that corridor. As you head out, you do see clatter. You again hear that steady thunk thunk, and he appears to have gotten a feather duster from somewhere, and he's running it up and down across these mirrors.
Point towards the door right across from us. It's like, well, might as well, right?
Yeah, Skitter's going to scuttle across, but he's going to stop at the door and just leer back at you all. Just, you go first.
Yeah, might be best to decide who's going in first this time. So I wait back and I'm seeing who's going to enter first.
You
Who's
big.
gonna get it? Who's gonna get it? Sorry.
You
Spoilers.
big human. You big human with shiny metal suits. You go first.
Yeah, Brynjar just goes.
I'll just open the door and go in.
Alright, whoever enters the door first, I'm casting resistance. So your next saving throw, is either for the next hour or until I drop concentration, you get 1d4 on.
Yeah, I will sneak in.
Okay. As the door swings open, you see that rather unlike the swimming pool that you expected to see, you find it completely devoid of water but completely full of books. This is a massive, sprawling library, with bookshelves going across the entire section of walls from floor to ceiling. There are enough books in here to keep anyone busy for a lifetime, although one shelf is conspicuously empty. A small reading desk and a few open volumes sits in the middle of the room, along with a comfortable high-back wing chair.
Elsa's just going to rush in and start looking at all the books that are on the shelves. See if there's any that catches her eye.
There's a few, actually. There's a number of different topics. Some sample titles include We Held the Wall by Grisseth the Last, Wealth of the Realms by Arad Goldsmith, Signs, Sigils and Semantica by Ezavena Greatstaff, A Compendium of Mechanics by Kate One Fastrocket, Confessions of an Assassin by Anonymous, The Care and Feeding of Hydras by Volothamp Gadam. However, if you would like, you can roll me an investigation check as you come across this empty shelf.
Uh,
13.
Okay. Doesn't seem particularly out of the ordinary to you.
12.
Same thing. There are indeed missing volumes. There's a few scattered on the desk, so it's possible it's those, but it doesn't seem like they hold to any particular pattern or anything.
I take the one which was about an assassin and just hand it to Skitter.
He sort of sniffs at it as if you're handing him food. He's just there, waves a hand, and he scuttles away.
Let's put it back on the shelf.
I think Ari's going to go look at the desk and see if there's like papers or anything on top of it. Try and look and see if there's like any hidden drawers or anything.
Okay. On the top of the desk are a number of books. One of the books is called Planes Within Planes, and it details information on celestial bodies, mostly comets, the sun, the moon, that sort of thing. As you peruse the book, you find that several pages have crude markings on them, pages relating to the moon specifically. And what would normally be sections pertaining to the moon's various phases and the moon's orbit are now covered in blotted ink, as if someone writing in a different language has almost been correcting errors. Can anybody here read Celestial?
Nope.
Then it's illegible to you all, I'm afraid.
Oh, missed a plot point. Damn it.
But apart from all these odd scrolls in this very crude handwriting, you do see another book which appears to be a journal full of notes. Most of them refer to something called the Tempered Glass, which apparently, as you read through, seems to be an artifact that Siegfried Harpel has obtained and used to build a telescope. His notes are a bit erratic, but state that the artifact contains magical powers and makes a good dressing mirror. Aside from that, you work your way through the various drawers, but you don't find any with false backs or anything like that. It is, for all intents and purposes, a normal reading desk with pens, papers, blotted ink, that sort of thing.
She's going to kind of motion Elsa over and show her the books and that she, conversed. Like, she's like, I can't read any of this. She's like, but you seem to be the bookish type. And just kind of share the information with her.
I also can't read this. This is gobbledygook.
It's a great word.
By the way, nice crispy bacon.
The smells you guys are permeating throughout this mansion. You're going to get charged cleaning fees.
I would share, by the way, but sorry.
Skitter not see anything in this room. Come, we try the next one.
I'll take the journal and keep that handy just in case.
No problem. You guys actually see that there's a second door in this room. And from the position, you can assume that it leads out into the corridor where you first saw Clatter. So as you've got the T-junction, you assume the door's on this side. Second entrance, it appears.
Might as well exit there, right?
Might as well read it out.
I'll open that door.
Yep.
Go out that way.
As you step back into the Hall of Mirrors, you see at this side of the T-junction, there are another two rooms ahead of you on the opposite side, and there's another door, excuse me, at the far end of the corridor on your right-hand side.
Close this door, then. I asked to the party.
Which one are you asking about?
Are we going to the closest door, then?
Yes, go.
I'll open the closest door to me.
Okay, the closest doors are the ones on your right, and they're pretty much next to each other. So you've got either the one directly at the end of the corridor, or the one slightly to the left of it from your current position. Now, the one to the left of it is marked on your map as guest room, do I need one? The smaller one at the end of the corridor isn't marked down at all.
Then I'll open the guest room first.
Okay, let me just jump ahead to that, bear with me. Where's the guest room? It's vanished.
Looks like you didn't need it at all.
Ah, it's because it's renamed. Excuse me, I have the cheat map. So, as you enter into this room, you see what appears to be a magical workshop of sorts. There's all manner of magical tools. You see alembics, you see magnifying glasses, you see crystals, you see bog-standard tools, mechanical tools, rags covered with grease, vices, clamps, tables, all that sort of thing. But you also see a number of mechanical constructs resting against the wall of this large room. Wooden cabinets with labels such as bolts and iron bars line the walls, and one humanoid construct made of cogs and gears stands near 7 deactivated ones, cleaning them with an oily rag.
This not guest room.
Oh, maybe not yet.
Wouldn't be so sure. I mean, the construct seems to be a guest here.
Are there any cabinets here? Or
Yeah, there's a number of different cabinets. They're all marked up with various tools and implements, so things like screws, bolts, wing nuts, all that kind of thing. So they appear to be the odd mechanical parts that somebody might have used to perhaps make these constructs.
Well, this does not seem to be anything that we have to clear, right?
no?
Elsie's going to take out the journal and just flick through, see if there's anything regarding to this room.
Doesn't appear to be. There's
Thing
the
is,
odd
I'm not so
mention
sure we
of
can-
there's the odd mention of construction complete on another assistant, that kind of thing, but it's fleeting and sporadic at best. Nothing in detail.
Yes, we could check if these are constructs that are ill-intended, at least.
Well, it says here that he finished constructing another. Could it be this? This could be a new assistant of sorts.
Yes, could be. We maybe could have a chat with them if you want.
I walk up to the construct.
As you approach it, it's still there, rubbing away with this oily rag, but as you approach it, suddenly stops, and it swivels its head to look at you, and this light pops up from in the centre of its head and begins to whirl around with this alarming red light, and the siren sound goes off. Intruder! Intruder! And it immediately grabs one of the levers on the chest of one of these deactivated constructs and brings it crashing down. I need you all to get ready for combat again. Arthur.
But never trust a wizard's room.
I'm gonna charge the construct, and I'm gonna jump him. I'm gonna body check him and jump on top of him.
Go for it, make a grapple.
Yep. That would be 11.
11. Okay, you're definitely better than that. So this blockish figure with this mechanical face and this alarming red light just suddenly gets dive bombed by this massive dwarven flesh, blubber and muscle, and it just crashes into the ground in what appears to be a WWE takedown pin.
It's actually one of those moves because this is something she does in her off time.
Nice. So it comes crashing to the floor. Is there anything else you'd like to do?
I want to hold it there so it doesn't pull any more levers.
No problem. So you're still there grappling with it?
Yeah.
Elsa?
Elsa's going to try and communicate with the construct. Just say, look, we're not intruders. We're not intruders. We've been invited here to help clean the place up. It's all one big misunderstanding.
You can't hear much. It's very muffled under this massive dwarven cook. But you do still hear the shrieking of this siren and the intruder!
Since that failed, I'm just going to cast Blade Ward on myself. So I gain resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing by weapon attacks until the end of my next turn.
Okay, no problem. Anything else from you?
I think that's it, I think.
Alright, Skitter.
Okay, Skitter. Well, sort of snarl at what's going on, and are there any hiding places up in this room? Any shelves? Any sort of beams going across the roof? Anything like that?
Not really. It's more like a tool shed than anything else. It's, a bit more well built than most, but it's quite low to the ground and it's quite cluttered.
Okay. But there's a table.
There's a few workbenches and that sort of thing, yeah.
He will basically dive under the nearest bench and take an action to hide.
Okay. Go ahead and roll me stealth.
Okay, that will be a 16.
Okay. You feel reasonably certain that you've managed to do it whilst not getting noticed by the thing that's currently being crushed.
It's not that he's worried about. Yeah, he's just going to be there with his daggers, keeping a watch out for the time being.
Okay. Eri?
So this alarm is still going off?
Yeah, it's muffled and it seems to be coming purely from this one construct. But you do know he has just pulled the lever on the chest of one that looks very identical to him.
But he's not, like, attacking. He's just alarming.
The one that he pulled the lever on hasn't moved as yet. The one that
Okay.
the one that has the alarm going is currently being pinned. You do see next to the one that's had the lever pulled, there's another 6, all in a line.
This may be stretching this rule, but you get to rule on it, DM. So she's got Hunter's Sense, so she can see like the best damage, immunities, resistance, and vulnerability for a creature within 60 feet. Could she use it to see if, like, stopping the alarm would stop the other constructs?
I would say, based on what you've seen, that it's more likely that it's nothing to do with the alarm and everything to do with that lever on their chest. That's
Okay.
whether or not they're activated.
So if can she hit it without hurting our dwarf friend?
You can try for it, but it's going to be undercover. So it will get a little bit of a buff to its AC.
Okay, she's gonna try and do that.
Go for it.
For lack of 22.
Yeah, that'll definitely do it.
3 piercing damage, and then second swing, 19.
Yep.
7.
And 7, did you say?
Yes.
All right. Somehow or another, despite this squirming mass of barbarian dwarf that's lying on top of this drone, you manage to get a stab in straight into its chest with one swing and get a sword coming in straight through the side of its head with the other. And the alarm just suddenly stops. And the shrieking of this intruder scream dies completely. And there's a slow... It's very difficult to make it out under this blubber, but there is a bit of a kind of sound that comes from it.
Sounds like Pac-Man dying.
Yep.
Is there anything else that's going on?
I was about to ask, anything else from you, or are we moving on to the next person?
So that other construct that it pulled the lever on hasn't moved yet.
Not yet.
Can she move? She's got 30.
Yeah.
Can she move towards it and flip the lever back to, like, try and turn it back off?
You can attempt to do it as a bonus action. Yeah, go ahead and make me a dex check. Sleight of hand would probably cover it.
Oh, okay. 14.
You get hold of the lever, but it's been greased up by this oily rag, and your hand just goes up a little bit further than you could. So, fortunately not. So with that, we're going to move on to the next person in line, which just so happens to be the construct. And as your hand slips up, almost in tune with it, this little red light pops up. And as they reach the same height, it begins this swirling, and again you hear this shrieking as it steps forward. And it goes for you, seeing as you're the first thing that it can see. God, I'm rolling terribly tonight. I'm going to have to swap these dice out.
No, please don't.
Let's see. It does get a multi-attack, though. That's better. I'm going to go out on a limb and say a 7 doesn't hit you.
No.
How about 13?
Yes.
Okay. Something better than nothing. You take 5 points of bludgeoning damage as the first swing comes up and it just knocks your arm to one side, but the second one comes across and cracks you in the ribs. And that will be its turn, which puts us on to Brynjar.
Yeah, I will be going to the construct that's attacking.
Yep.
And will be, and I go for a thrust into its head.
Go for it. Roll me some attacks.
Uh, 16.
16 will hit.
No, I just rolled 16, but yeah.
That'll hit even with your without your modifiers.
Yes. And that's D10. 1 slashing damage and 2 fire damage.
Okay, you're getting a good swing. It's a bit more of a nick than it is anything else, but it does take out a chunk of circuit board, and there's a shower of sparks from its cheek, or what will pass through its cheek as your blade makes contact. Anything else from you?
I will be trying as well to lift the up the lever.
Yep. Go ahead and roll me sleight of hand.
I doubt that my modifiers even help, so that's just 4 I just rolled.
Yeah, you don't even manage to get a grip on this thing, unfortunately. With that, we're going to move on to depth check.
Okay, this is pretty loud, right, with the alarm?
Yeah.
Okay,
It's a small room. It's echoing quite heavily in your heads.
Real quick before I start moving more into the room, I'm going to check to make sure nothing else is coming down the hallway at us.
You see Clatter at the far end, and he just gives you a wave with the duster in one hand, but that's it.
Okay. So I'm going to focus on this construct. I'm going to cast Hold the Dead on it, so it needs to make a Wisdom saving throw, DC 13.
It failed.
Okay, and it's already taken damage, right?
Yep.
Okay, D12. 10 damage, necrotic.
Splendid. So what happens, because it's necrotic damage, as you cast this spell, you see at the very center of its chest, this orange blots begin to form and spread out across its body, and it begins to rust and corrode, and the alarm begins to shriek in different levels, and then it starts to die away, and all of a sudden there's a creaking of joints. It freezes, and then crashes forward on its face.
All right. And seeing this thing inoperable, I'm going to move forward and I'm going to try my hand at flipping this lever.
Okay, the one that's just died.
That was the one with the lever on it?
Yep. All the other ones are still in what you assume is the off position. So you can turn one on if you like.
No, I prefer not to.
But that all aside, yes, you're out of initiative. They're both the two constructs that you've seen are inactive.
If we're out of initiative, then I'm gonna step in front of the next one. I'm gonna grab my neck a bit. I hear a big cracking of bone and muscle, and I'm gonna flip the lever.
Go ahead
as it comes out, I want to hit it straight in the face.
Okay, before you do, let's see if you can move the lever. Give me a sleight of hand check.
Sure. I'll use my inspiration on this, actually.
Okay.
Really wants that thing dead.
That would be a natural 20.
That's okay, yeah, absolutely. 10 XP for all the viewers, but yeah, you managed to turn this thing on, and again, it's the exact same setup. Red light, shrieking, intruder, intruder!
Straight to fist or fist in the face.
Yeah, go for it. I'm going to say you get advantage on it because you were prepared for this.
Yeah, and I'm going to do it reckless anyway, so...
Fine.
That would be an unarmed attack. Plus 6, a 24 to hit.
That'll hit it.
And you'll even see from my fist itself, from the same radiant glimmer that came off the axe itself, just protruding from the fist itself as well. It'll do 5 points of bludgeoning damage for my fist, and 7 points of radiant damage.
Alright, so as this thing begins to step forward, it barely gets the first intruder out of its mouth before your fist just comes crashing straight through the centre face plate of it. And as you pull your fist back, and it's actually out the back end of its head, as you pull your fist back, there's a ripping, tearing sound, and you get your arm back, but it's still got the head attached to it, and there's a bunch of wires dangling from what's remained of it. So your hands here, the head is basically
Yeah.
the whole length of your forearm.
Nice.
You see me looking back at you with a giant big ass smile on my face. Ah, this is amazing sport and exercise.
You see Deptech doing this, shaking his head.
You're done.
I needed that, and I'll just step away from the constructs.
So, Elsa looks at you puzzled. So you're a violent cook?
Yes, that's my day job. I find and create recipes amongst the locations that I visit. I find new ingredients to make new gourmet chef-worthy stuff. While I look for my sister who stole my mother's pot pie recipe.
Do you by chance know another violent cook known as Gordon Ramsay?
I do recall a specific elven cook called Horden Hamzy.
Sounds about right, yes.
He had this reddish blonde hair and always worn a white apron.
Yep.
Yeah, he was a student of mine.
That explains so much.
Yeah, you see Skitter slide out from under the nearest bench and just inspects the headless thing, and he just looks up to you, Arthur, and he's just like, "Yeah, dwarf kitchen kills what she cooks."
Yes. A good cook knows exactly what product to work with. So what better way to get to know your product than to slay it yourself?
Not what stew made from metal things. They're bad.
I do not cook metal objects in my stew.
He scuttles away.
Okay.
So anything else in this room that might be of interest while I look at the rest of the party?
Well, if you guys go exploring through the various cabinets and across the various workbenches, you will find 4 sets of tinker's tools. You will find the schematics to build a set of animated armor. And you will also find a chunk of rock in a glass display case that reads Moon Shard and a silver faceplate on the front. That looks to be worth a fair chunk of gold.
Skitter takes absolutely no interest in all of these things. They're not coin.
The schematics for the armor, I did look at it. Should the church continue the guardian, protect them? Does anybody mind if I take that?
Might I suggest changing the alarm protocol a bit?
Are you worried it'll wake the dead? Well, nobody objects. I'm going to roll it up and place it in my pack.
Okay. Anybody taken any of the tools or the moon rock?
Not me.
Does Ari remember anything about moonstone in the journal? Because it talked about celestial moon stuff, so she wants to think about.
Yeah, I mean, you do recall that there was mentions of a telescope that he built using particular types of glass. There was 1 or 2 mentions of lunar observations, and you do recall that one of the other books was one based around the tides and various moon phases and that sort of thing, but that had all the scroll in it. So you can assume that at some stage or another, Siegfried might have had an interest in it.
Actually, also from my dwarven heritage with my stone cunning, might I know a bit more about these kinds of stones and what they might be used for.
Not particularly. Moon rock isn't something that dwarves tend to build anything out of.
Okay, it's just pretty for us.
Yep.
So she's inspected this rock and looks and sees that it doesn't seem like anybody else is interested in it. Skitter's not making a dive for it, so she's going to pocket it.
It's not shiny made of gold or anything.
Okay, so you pocket that, and as you guys head back out into the hall, we're going to take a quick 10-15 minute break. Okay, so we will be back very shortly for you guys on the stream. Don't go anywhere. See you soon. And we're back. Missus? So, you guys have just cleared out this little workshop. You've managed to get yourself schematics for a suit of animated armour, probably very similar to Clatter, who's busy out in the hall. As you exit the room, you've got two options. There's a door up ahead of you, to the right, or there's a door almost immediately to your left-hand side at the end of the corridor that isn't marked on your map.
A door that's not marked on the map?
The door in the room appear to be marked on the map, but there's no indicator from Tristan to say what it is.
I look around the party. So, who's first this time?
I will go into the door and slowly open it.
Okay, as you open it, you get an overwhelming waft of nauseating stench from this little room. It's a very tiny room that features a hole in the ground, with a very foul odour wafting from the centre. This is a privy chamber.
Yeah. I just close the door. It's just...
I hope he's not expecting us to clear that out as well.
Well, I have found monsters and bad stuff coming out of really icky and gooey situations. I've heard about even walking pieces of food. So, might be a good and smart idea to still check the room, right?
Are we worried about walking pieces of post food?
Soft human things. I go check. Skitter will just march in there. He's clearly unfazed by the stench, as you could probably imagine.
Nari whispers to whoever's closest. Not like it's going to change how he smells anyway.
You go into this little room and it is just literally, it's like an outhouse. It's just a seat, a wooden seat, a black hole, and you can imagine what's at the other end. There doesn't appear to be anything living in there at all. Well, apart from lots and lots and lots of bacteria.
Prestidigitation.
It manages to clear away some scent, but it's got a limited range and this shaft goes down. You can only assume possibly to an outside sewer or some area of the mansion. It's unlikely, unless you start climbing down it, that you're going to be able to prestidigitate the entire thing.
Are there any loose objects in the room?
No. Well, there's toilet roll, I suppose, the medieval equivalent. A plunger.
I'll look a little bit inside of the room with Skitter in there. Then I'll look at Skitter. I'll look at the hole. I look at my money pouch, and I'll pull out one single gold piece.
No!
Fling it into the hole.
Can Skitter attempt to catch it out of the air?
Sleight of hand.
15.
I would say that's probably enough to snatch it out of the air before it goes down the hole.
So Skitter...
He jumps for one coin. I'll just toss another one, and it's on the other side.
Can he just see if he can go for that one as well?
I hope you get really out of balance with this.
Go ahead.
17.
Yeah, that'll get it as well. You managed to snatch both coins out of the air.
He looks balefully at Arthur. He's just like, not gold, use copper! Silly dwarf kitchen!
Okay, and I'll toss a copper piece in.
Okay, there's the odd rattling and there's a squelch as it hits something in the thing, but no reaction from anything down
no
there.
sound or anything else. Okay, cool.
Nothing out of the
I will be handing like a torch.
Okay, it makes about that sort of noise, to be honest, as it goes down. But no, the torch, you can see all sorts
I just light it with my sword.
Yeah,
So
you can shed enough light on the situation to see all sorts of, if you forgive the expression, crap down there, but nothing out of the ordinary.
We're quite done messing around with the whole
With the toilet.
tossing money in and stabbing.
It's not a wishing well, boys.
It was mostly for Skitter. That's the fun part.
Skid loses patience and he turns back to the heads towards the door. No shit, monster to fight. Move on.
All right, you want to lead the way to the next door then?
And he'll just silently go off and Figura's going to follow him.
I will follow directly behind you. At least to give some protection. Might something happen.
Okay.
Excellent.
You guys head back down the T-junction. You see that Clatter's lost the feather duster at this point, and he seems to have gotten some sort of strange brush in object, and he's rolling it across the floor. And it seems to be getting the marks out of the carpet, but you see he's generally following himself in circles, trying to get his own footprints out, and it's not working. But as you get over to the next door, this is further down the T-junction, so you guys are going into what would appear to be this room here. You can see on there. So the billiard room, as it's marked.
Okay.
Okay. Who's going in first?
Skitter.
Skitter's going to, again, stop at the door, but look pointedly at the rest of you.
Go ahead, dear.
No, you go first. Skitter always goes first.
I'll reach over you and open the door.
Okay, as you open the door, you see that this is not a billiard room, unsurprisingly, but this is a greenhouse. And the large room is covered in a variety of plants that have overgrown their pots and obviously haven't been tended to for some time. A low magical light glimmers in the centre of the room, and a scrawny, haggard-looking man sits near the light and seems to be entranced by it.
What kind of plants are these?
That's a good question. They seem to be all manner of strange plants that they're not unfamiliar. Some of them are wildflowers. A lot of them tend to have alchemical properties, which you might recognise and Elsa might recognise. There's one or two that seem very unusual. Some of them, if you've been in Longsaddle long enough, you'd know some of the local enchanted plants that the wizards have grown over the years. There's a very small shrub of a tree with some silver leaves to it, and one or two other oddities and strange glowing mushrooms and that sort of thing, but it seems to be of an alchemical nature.
Could I go look over if I can recognize, because I have the mutagen thing?
You have the what, sorry?
I have the mutagen abilities, so I will probably recognize any of these. Alchemical.
Yeah, you'd definitely be able to pick out a few that have various properties in potions and bases and distilling and that sort of thing.
Are there any plants that anybody with a knowledge would recognise as good for making poisons?
Yeah, there'd be one or two.
So you see Skitter approach some of these plants and give the leaves a sniff, and then quickly his dagger comes out and he starts cutting branches off and stuffing them into his pouch.
Yeah, I will be taking out my alchemical set and start placing few herbs that I would need.
Yep.
I'll point at the guy sitting in a room entranced by the light. What about this one? He doesn't look too well.
Can
I pull out a bit of bacon and rub it under his nose.
Okay, as you close to him and he gets this scent, he suddenly whips around in place and stands up to his full height, which isn't that tall. And there's a screech from him, "Nobody disturbs the master!" And all of a sudden, the light in the centre of the room begins to glow at full force. And Skitter, you feel a very strange sensation that you might be familiar with as you begin to undergo a transformation under the effects of a full moon.
You're falling out a bit, Sam.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't catch any of that. Cut out.
Is that any better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Might be my internet. Skitter,
Yeah.
you and this creature begin to undergo a strange transformation that you might not be altogether unfamiliar with, because you are now under the effects of a full moon. and you begin your transformation into your were-rat state. And the creature in front of you also, his face begins to elongate into this whiskered snout. His hands clutch up into claws, and an enormous pink tail forms at the base of his spine. And we are into initiative. Skitter, if you have stats for your were-rat self, you're on them.
Okay, I have just about, yes. Right
Splendid.
then.
Arthur, you're up first, as usual.
This guy doesn't look too friendly, so I'm just gonna move up to him and give him a big smack straight into his snout.
Go for it.
I'm gonna do this recklessly as well. That would be a 22 to hit.
22 will hit.
And that's 13 points of slashing damage and an additional 5 points of radiant damage.
How many slashing damage? Sorry, 5 points of radiant and
13.
13. Okay, very nice.
And that is where I end my turn.
Okay. Elsa.
Can I do an Arcana check on the glowing lights? See if that's the cause of the transformations that have just occurred.
Yeah, you don't need to make an Arcana check to tell. Its reaction was almost immediately tied to this transformation beginning in this creature in front of you. So
Okay.
you can assume definitely that it's the source.
Can I check, see if I can figure out a way to dim it, see if that will de-transform them?
Yeah, if you've got a way of doing it.
Cover it with a blanket, I guess. Anyway, I think of. I'll head over to the light, pull a blanket out of my pack, and just cover the light with it.
Okay. Let's see how effective that is, for the heck of it. Very effective, actually. The light begins to dim significantly. It's very thick, a very heavy woolen blanket. It's a winter blanket, as it happens, so it does a really good effect. Skitter, you immediately lose your werewolf self, and this man begins to transform back into his humanoid self. He still looks completely deranged, but he loses all rat features that he has.
And
Looking forward to that.
Sorry. Assuming he's still hostile, then I'll just I will hit him with a firebolt.
Okay.
And I'll use my inspiration on this attack as well. Definitely need it. 14.
That'll hit.
But 8 fire damage.
Okay. And that will put us up to Skitter.
Hey, a bit perplexed, looking at his hands and perplexed how he's sort of started changing and then gone back again in such a short space of time. He's just going to fly into a rage and scream as he launches himself at the old man, and he should be in contact with Arthur. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, you'll be pretty much next to each other.
So let's give him a 15.
Yep.
With his first attack, with his dagger, to deal. We're on 8 piercing.
Okay.
And his second attack.
With that?
Oh, yeah, that was with sneak attack. And 23 with the second.
Mm-hmm.
And again, 8.
Okay. So there's this flurry of blows that gets launched into this guy from various angles. You're moving quicker than he can keep up with. But he is still standing at the end of it, but he's got a lot of puncture wounds and there's a lot of blood. However, you do get the impression that your attacks aren't doing quite as much damage as they might.
Oh, he doesn't get the impression of anything when he's like this.
Well, fair enough then. Somebody more educated might notice.
Yeah. That's it.
Irie.
So she's going to start off, she's going to smile and be like, this is more like it. And goes straight at him with her silvered short swords.
Ooh, good
Silver
job.
show, so brilliant.
So the first one is 17.
Yeah, roll me some damage.
5.
How does it look when you kill him?
Oh, she's going to kind of take her silvered short sword and get him right up under the ribs, like right in under his rib cage.
Alright. As Skitter's stabbing away at this, you pull this maneuver off and you hear it a sound, and you almost lift him off his feet for a second. He's very light and frail. And as you rip the sword out, it pulls out a bit of his guts to go with it, and he collapses onto the ground. All the life drained out of him.
And she's just gonna shake the sword off to the side.
Excellent.
I look at the thing below there and I say, I don't want any filthy rats in my kitchen.
So yeah,
I will be pointing the sword at the Skitter.
Sorry?
You're pointing your sword at Skitter.
Yeah.
Okay. Skitter, you find yourself facing a Brynjar with a flaming sword levelled at your chin.
Skitter just snarls and says, I knew it! Tricky humans betray Skitter!
How come you have not been found out that you are were creature?
Skitter has the disease. It not matter. Skitter avoid the moon. Did not expect to find it in this room.
Elsa's going to check on the glowing light, see if it's dimmed any sort.
It still seems to be giving off the same level of brightness if you try and remove the blanket. But you can peek under it and see without exposing anything. Yeah.
And while this scene's going on, I'm going to go over to the corpse and just shake my head. Still humanoid life. I'm going to perform a small, give a small prayer, and I'm going to cast Spare the Dying on him. Give him a chance to take this creature out and give it a proper burial.
Okay. What's Spare the Dying?
Spare the Dying is cantrip, and it basically prevents it from running. You touch a living creature with 0 hit points, the creature becomes safe. Oh, nope, never mind. It was not the one I thought it was. Never mind, I don't cast Spare the Dying. I just
perform last
I
rites.
just make a small prayer. Yeah.
No problem.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
So Aaron's going to go up to Grinjar and, because I'm guessing he's still posturing towards Skitter, and say, ending him is my first instinct too.
Mm-hmm.
But since we are all on the same side temporarily, maybe we should save it till after. But I would gladly go after him when we are out of this place with you.
You try, Hunt Skitter. Skitter more cunning than you think.
Hearing this, Autumn
We'll
will
see.
move up towards you too and say, dearies, I think you should relax a little bit. This is our friend and companion. There's no reason to hurt him in any sort or any way, as long as he does not do anything to hurt you, right?
Yes, you listen to Dwarf Kitchen, not do something you might regret. He says with a little devious grin.
Maybe this will help, and I'll offer the
Well,
both
he's
of
not
you a
been
bit
a
of bacon.
threat to anyone, so
Skitter only kill for coin.
Yes, and as strange as he may be, he's still a living creature. My God would find him even in this state sacred. So I would ask, please contain yourselves.
Human things need not worry. Even when Skitter grows strong with moon, Skitter still has mind. Skitter knows who to kill.
Upon hearing that, Elsa removes the winter blanket from the light, revealing it again.
Skitter, you feel this transformation beginning to tug at you again.
That Skitter, you see, also you hear him sort of, you see him almost grow, his muscles bulge, and the hood flips back, and you see that he's now become, even if he was just a half, it's now a grotesquely muscled, bulky super rat. And he sort of slams. He's got two big forearms that he just slams down on the ground, and he just looks up at you all with a snarling maw.
Brynjar is not phased at all.
And then he sort of just ignores you, and he just starts boom, boom, pounding out of the room.
You're leaving the room.
He's leaving the room.
Okay, as soon as you break contact, line of sight, in essence, with this glowing orb, you revert back to your normal form.
It's like he's expecting it, and he just sort of looks back, and again, sort of a wicked, devious grin back at his companions.
Is this orb in any way portable?
It appears to be stuck on a pedestal at the moment.
Can I attempt breaking it off?
You can.
Anyone
ahead
care to
and-
help me get this off?
Yeah, I could help.
And yeah, I just want to try to tear it off or get it off.
Well, perhaps I can do an check here. We'll basically use an Arcana check.
You want to
Remove it from the pedestal without having to break it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to destroy it.
Okay.
Also, by the way, we got a cheers from Shoddy Fiddle, and also he's giving Skitter some advantage.
Hey, thank you.
Nice.
So thanks for that. Cheers.
Yeah, if everybody didn't get it, that was a rat ogre.
Is it like a miniature rat ogre, or is he like full-sized rat ogre?
Well, it does say it's a medium creature. Suppose it'd be man-sized, not the proper rat ogre. Unfortunately, but for him.
Elsa, go ahead and roll me an Arcana check then. Let's see how good you do.
10.
You get the impression that, from your limited knowledge, removing it from the pedestal might well end the magical effect it has.
I'll relay that.
Well, might there be any way that we could still have maybe some research done on it? So, because I think, even though our friend Skitter might see it as a curse, yeah, he could use it to his advantage if he could trigger it by not just using the moon for it.
Curse! The moon makes Skitter strong. Skitter banished from tribe for disease. But Skitter knows that it is power.
As I said, if there's some way to use this orb to give you more regulation over it, why not?
Anything in the journal about it?
Nothing that jumps out at you immediately. You do see the mention of the term drift globe occasionally. You see that there's experiments successful next to it, but not much more than that.
Don't know what to tell you, my friends. I don't think we can take this with us.
I don't agree at all.
If we remove it from the pedestal, then it may end up just diminishing.
How big is the pedestal?
The pedestal's about 5 foot tall. It appears to be made out of marble, and it's got little arches kind of built into it, but it's moulded into the floor surface. You can still attempt to remove it, but you get the impression the consequences are, from what else has told you, that it could well break.
Let's come back to this one. I'll just exit the room as well.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll head on to this area.
Alright, so as you guys exit this room, you look further down the right-hand corridor, and there's a door at the very far end with a very strange looking, it's difficult to make out from this distance, but a very strange looking keyhole and handle, and then 2 doors on either side of the corridor again.
One of those would be the kitchen, right?
The one on the right is marked up as kitchen, yes.
Then that is where I will immediately walk to.
I'm following right behind.
Yes, same here.
Okay. Who's going first?
Me.
Yes.
It's a kitchen, right?
As you open the door, you see that this is not a kitchen, but a bedroom. A large bed sits against one wall, and a wardrobe and dresser dominate the opposite side. The dresser has a gigantic mirror attached to it, which is covered with a bed sheet. It appears that nobody has used this room for quite some time.
I look really disappointed, and I just stand there with my shoulders hanging down a bit, and look a bit sad, and let everybody pass in front of me if they want to go in.
Okay, I think Yevsk is clearly feeling emboldened by what's just transpired. He's going to head in, tugging his hood back over his snout. And sorry, just remind me what we see exactly.
What you see is a large bed sitting against one wall, a wardrobe and a dresser dominating the opposite side, and the dresser has a gigantic mirror attached to it, which is covered with a bed sheet.
Okay, immediately Skit's just going to go and start stabbing the bed.
There's showers of feathers, goose feathers, coming up out of it, but not much else.
Then he'll just turn his attention to the dresser. It's just going to be going on in the background.
Was there something written about a mirror?
There was something written about, let me jump back, about tempered glass, I believe, but you do recall that it was mentioned in relation to the telescope rather than a mirror.
I'm gonna go over to the bed and pick the largest feather I can find and just kind of to no one say, "Oh, rather useful for a grave digger," and just pack it away.
Okay, Skitter, I presume you're stabbing the dresser?
He's sort of rooting through it, tearing it apart. But you see all the clothes and whatever's inside.
Yeah, exactly. You find several expensive but quite eccentric-looking outfits of men's clothes, but that's about as much as you can see. It's about what you'd expect from this.
Yeah, he pays no mind. They're just tossed on the, and you'll just go to the wardrobe next and throw it open.
Same thing. You find a lot of sets of eccentric clothes, robes, aristocratic masquerade masks, a few staffs, that sort of thing, but they appear to be functional rather than anything magical.
Ah, nothing but stupid glitter clothes.
I point towards the desk or the thing with the mirror. What about that?
Skipper, don't trust it.
I will be going for it, and I'm just staying out of its way and then rip it down.
Okay, as you pull the cloth off the mirror, I need to know if anybody's standing in front of it.
Well, standing by the bed.
Sorry?
Is anybody standing in front of the mirror as he removes the sheet?
No.
Yeah, I'm out of its way.
Yep.
I'm
Is
outside
the
still.
bed over by the mirror? Because I don't know if I was paying full attention to what
I'll tell you what, I'm going to roll a d4, and if you get a 2 or a 3, you were in the way.
Oh, he's gone again.
Any better?
You gonna roll?
We'll see how it gets on, yeah?
Yeah.
Alright, well, I rolled a d4 to see if you would. You're out of the way.
Okay.
So at the moment, nobody's within sight line of the mirror, and nothing happens. You see what appears to be a very ordinary but large-looking mirror.
I open the journal to see Dylan's mention of the tempered glass. What it says exactly.
You see it's made mention of in relation to the telescope. So it appears that Siegfried has used it at some stage in construction of his telescope.
It mentions
Maybe something in the conservatory rather than.
possibly.
Then why, wizard, cover up mirror? Try to hide something.
I mean, it could be a mirror that could be used to look at other things. Not exactly through a telescope.
What's this mirror about? I'll move a little bit closer to it. I want to check the mirror out.
Okay, you can make an Arcana check if you'd like.
I'll make one as well.
Yep.
22.
4.
Okay, Elsa, you recognise a faint sense of magical aura from this. If you cast Detect Magic, I can give you a better description, but for now you could just recognise that there is something about it.
Do I even have Detect Magic? Right?
This is it. Not everybody does. If you don't, you at least
No,
get
I
the
don't.
sense that it is a magical object of some fashion.
No, I don't have it ready.
Skitter's gonna get a pair of socks that he's thrown out of the dresser and just toss it into the mirror.
And it just slides off.
Well, it certainly is magical. I can't really tell you how magical it is.
I will look at myself in the mirror.
Okay, as you look at yourself in the mirror, you see your reflection, and then a second or two later, you realise that your movements aren't being quite reflected, and that your face has begun to twist inside the mirror into a malevolent visage. And a second later, there's a whooshing sound as another copy of you pops up into the being in the centre of the room. We're into initiative, people. But not only does that happen, as it pops into the centre of the room, I need you all to make perception checks, please.
Oh, to keep track of these.
5.
17.
I had
I have a 10.
8.
Okay, anybody who's scored 10 or above notices flickers, strange ethereal flickers, moving through the air surrounding this figure. And you can get just enough of a glimpse. It's hard to see because they don't seem to move as much as they seem to pop into existence in different areas, almost like blinking. What you see is a tiny wingless dragon, covered in ethereal blue and purple and glowing with an arcane energy. And they seem to be circling around this figure. But we are into initiative. Arthur, you're looking at your very ugly self.
It's very ugly, and I don't want to look at the ugly self, and the ugly self has to die.
That's what I think every time I get up in the morning.
So I will run up towards it again. Only this time, instead of just my muscles bulging, you'll actually see the veins within it start to pop, and almost like a Super Saiyan, the additional poof of the muscles expanding to about 1.5 the size that they were before. You see almost a bit of her neck hair and her small fluffy beard that she has start to crackle with a bit of a divine energy as well as I go into my rage, and I will just swing at it with everything I've got.
Go for it.
You happen to have consumed a thing of spinach beforehand.
Basically, yeah. So I will roll with advantage for my reckless attack, which would be a 21 to hit.
Yeah, that'll do it.
And I do 10 points of slashing damage. 12 points of slashing damage because I'm raging. And an additional 4 points of radiant damage.
Okay. You cleave
3 points of radiant damage.
You cleave a good chunk out of this thing's torso. It flickers as if you can tell that it's not quite there. It's some sort of mirage, but it does seem to have left a good mark on its scored across its chest as your battle axe goes straight through it. Elsa.
Going to cast. How many of them little ethereal dragons are there?
You scored above 10, didn't you? So you saw there was about 4 of them.
Is using my knowledge in Arcana, can I tell? Will I know if I'll be able to damage them in some way?
Yeah. There's nothing. Well, depends. Roll me an Arcana check. It's not going to cost you an action or anything. See if you know of these creatures.
22.
You've heard of these creatures. These are arcane worms, and they're drawn to items of magical power. They don't, as far as you're aware, have any particular resistances to magical energy. But they are notoriously difficult to spot.
Okay. So I'm gonna cast Magic Missile at level 2. So I have 4 bolts. And I'm gonna target each of the dragons.
Okay.
So it's 1d4 plus 1 force damage. Do I roll for each one, or is it?
Roll the damage. For the sake of it, for speed, I'll just say that whatever damage you roll on the first one is applied to all.
4 damage.
Okay. So you send these globules of magical energy. What type was force damage? Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you see a flicker, and everybody else now, those of you who missed it before, do see these things pop into existence as these magic missiles fly out in different directions, smack into these little creatures, and there's a burst of energy that warps around its body, and you get a clear outline of these things. Anything else from you? In fact, actually, I need you to roll me a 1, don't I, because you're a wild magic sorcerer. So go ahead, roll me a d20.
Brilliant.
Yay!
7.
You're fine. Spell went off with no issues.
Yeah.
I want the 1.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I don't think I can do anything else, actually. I think that's it.
Okay, then it's the turn of the arcane worms. Let's see how this goes. Oh, the automatic. Okay, sweet. So the first one that you hit immediately recoils back, and as it recovers while the fourth one strikes another, it spits its own bolts of energy back at you. And they deal, let's have a look, 7 points of force damage.
Yikes.
Okay. Another one goes to Arthur and deals 5 points of damage.
Alright, what kind of damage? Force damage, you said?
Yes, force damage.
Alright, that does not get resisted.
Sweet. 5 points of damage go into Eri. And the last 3 points strike Brynjar.
Okay, 3 points.
So you just see these dragons' mouths open, these little tiny bolts of magical energy. They're not particularly damaging, but they do strike vulnerable parts of your armor.
I guess they shoot magic missiles out individually. They always hit.
Pretty much, exactly.
Yeah.
Skitter, you're up.
Skitter, see all the action unfold around him. Well, just I knew he shouldn't have trusted Tricky Mirror! And he will just dive straight towards the mirror from the side and attempt to smash it.
Okay, go for it.
First attack is a 12.
Mm-hmm. And your second?
That misses. Does it? Or you just...
What did you roll?
That was a 12, that.
I got the first one, yeah. Just go ahead and tell me what your second one is, and we'll roll
Oh,
damage
right,
for
okay.
both if you hit them.
And another 12.
Alright, roll damage for both of those.
Cool. So it's another 8. And, much better. A plus 3, 11.
Okay. As your daggers strike home, you see cracked spider web from the points of impact, and the reflected image of Arthur shimmers and flickers, but it holds.
Okay, not much you can do there, except wait for his next turn.
Okay, Larry?
So she did notice that there's these extra magical creatures, and as well as the shimmer when Skitter hit the mirror, so she's going to try and hit the mirror too.
Go for it.
21.
Yeah, that'll do it. Go ahead and roll me some damage.
7.
That's enough. So Skitter's got a few daggers in the bottom end of the mirror, and you send your sword flying straight through the middle, and as you do, it spider webs into a complete set of fractures, and the whole glass just shatters onto the top of the desk. As it does, Artham's reflection dissipates out of existence. The 4 dragons, however, the arcane worms, are still floating around.
Are they? So you said they're really small,
They are?
but So can I still try to hit one?
Yeah, of course you
my
can.
second swing.
No problem.
Okay. 17.
Yep.
Oops. And 8.
All right. So you've got the sword through, and as you pull it back and whip it over your head, it just goes straight through one of the dragons that's behind you. It bisects it. 2 dead ethereal parts just flop to the ground. Anything else?
No.
Splendid. Good stuff. And we're on to... Excuse me, there's a lot there. Brynja.
Yeah, I will be seeing that the mirror has been dealt with. I'll grab my sword by 2 hands and slice one of the worms. That's 19.
Yep, roll some damage.
Uh, 11 slashing. And
Okay. The 11 will kill it. Don't worry about the rest. So you bring your blazing sword over in an overhand cut, and again, another dragon flies out of the air in 2 pieces. There's 2 more floating around near you.
Yeah, I don't have anything else.
Okay, no problem. Dip check.
Right, can I get both of these small worms within 5 feet of me?
They're on the other sides of the room from each other, so probably not,
okay.
I'm afraid.
Able to.
Okay.
Alright,
Go. Sorry.
seeing Urza take some damage, I'm going to go after the worm that's closest to her, and I'm going to use Toll the Dead. So there'll be a wisdom saving throw.
God, these dice, I'm really going to have to swap these dice out. It fails.
Okay, it hasn't taken any damage yet, though, right?
No. Sorry, no, they've all taken 4 points of magical damage from... force damage from the magical missiles.
Okay, so... D12. That's a 1. one necrotic.
Okay, it shimmers again as this magical energy hits it, but it dissipates pretty quickly.
Alright.
Anything else?
How bad does Urza look?
She is close.
Alright, I'm going to do as my bonus action cast Sanctuary on Urza, so anytime something targets her, that thing has to take a wisdom saving throw to be able to target. If it fails, it has to choose a new target or lose its attack or spell.
Sweet. Artham, you're up.
I'm gonna charge up to one of these dragonlings that are there. I don't care which one of them. And I'm just gonna jump up while running towards it, and while mid-swing, just the downward heave on top of it.
Okay.
And that would be a 16 to hit.
Yeah, that'll get it.
It's 11 points of slashing damage and 3 points of radiant damage.
Okay. Once again, 2 splattered parts of dragon go sailing across the room, leaving scattered mess all over the plush carpet. You have 1 left.
I want to move up to one of these parts and see how fleshy this is and how well I could possibly process this into something.
It's entirely possible. You've heard of people using dragon meat before. This is magical dragon meat, it seems, but it's possible. In the meantime, Elsa.
Cast Firebolt onto it. 14.
Yep.
Well, 7 fire damage.
7. Okay. It hits again. There's this ripple, but this time it's an orange ripple to coincide with the fact that this is fire. And it wraps around in this ethereal glow. And then as it does so, there's a blink, a popping sound almost, and the dragon vanishes from sight and then reappears across the other side of the room in a corner up by some shelves. And as it does that, it's going to launch a little volley of attacks against you.
What attack is it? Yes.
It's force damage again.
Magic missile.
In essence, yeah. Devtray, what was the saving throw for your wisdom? What was the DC?
13.
Okay, it can't actually hit you with that, much as it would like to. There's an aura around you that just seems to deflect the bolts. So instead, its bolt goes for Irie and deals 2 points of damage. And Artham, seeing as he's near that side of the room as well, takes another 5 points. And that leads us into Skitter.
Okay, great. So please, Skitter's going to dash towards the thing that's still alive and just, again, hack at it wildly with his dagger.
Okay.
That would be a 14.
Yep.
To deal, and again, 8 points of piercing.
Okay, you finish it off. How's it look?
Aggressively, he impales it on his dagger, and this little mini dragon, as it squirms there, he sort of looks at it cruelly and just bites its head off. Spit on the
I want
ground.
to keep that hat, please.
After it's been in his mouth.
Skitter looks towards Artham and just gets the dagger and just like flicks it off towards it.
Yeah, I want to collect the bits of dragon meat.
Yeah, no problem. Your instincts tell you that this is probably a rare ingredient for your cooking,
exactly.
but
I'm gonna have some fun testing with this.
and we're out of initiative. The room appears to be clear and the mirror lies in pieces.
I'll go to Ilse and ask her, is she okay? Like, does she need a rest?
The rest?
I am a little bit injured. Perhaps one of you could spare me one.
I could probably sit down for a bit.
A break.
Yeah.
You'll want to
1
take a
second,
rest,
please.
might be advisable.
If it says kitchen on the map, let's turn it into one. And I'll go back towards my kitchen. I'm gonna pick it up and bring it over here. And I'll just start cooking some small lunch for the rest of you guys.
As you go to get your kitchen and start dragging it back, you will see that Clatter drops what he's doing and starts moving to give you assistance pulling this thing into place.
I don't need any assistance.
He
with
gives it
this.
anyway.
Yeah, I'll go to the secluded place and bring out my alchemical set and start brewing mutagen, and I'll be making with the stuff I got from the
Plants in the last room.
last room,
Yep.
and I start making potency. And
Okay.
Seeing all this going on, Skitter, although he sort of chitters impatiently at first, he eventually settles down and pulls his robes up, and you can see actually why why his robes are so loose to allow for his transformation into the wear so they don't rip. But they sort of shroud him as he hunches over, and he'll attempt to make some poison with his poisonous kit out of the plants that he collected.
Yeah, you can do that.
I'd like to use at least one of these remains of the wormlings, of the dragonlings, to make a light lunch out of.
Yeah, you can definitely do that.
And it's a light lunch from my perspective, so that's probably a full pot of stew that's reheated. That's a big salad with nuts and fresh stuff in there. I have plates and everything with me as well, and I just divide everybody. You get a full-on heavy meal, and yeah.
Okay, I would say that anybody who consumes this meal, because it's made of an arcane dragon in essence, anybody who consumes it will find themselves under the effect of the guidance spell for the next hour.
Ooh.
So that's a
Nice.
1d4 to ability checks, I believe.
Yes.
Josh, you can correct me because I think you've got it to hand, if you don't mind.
What was that? The
Guidance, I think it's a 1d4 to ability checks, if I remember rightly.
I don't have guidance in the book, but I believe
I
it's
think it's 1 dice 4 for 2.
We'll work with that anyway, doesn't matter. 1d4 to ability checks for the next hour.
Yeah,
Or-
I think that's correct.
Can we use the hit dice?
Yeah, how long are you guys resting for? Are you doing an hour's rest, or
An
are you
hour.
trying to go for a long hour?
I just need a short rest for my alchemist.
It's just a short rest, I think. Yeah, an hour or so.
An hour's no problem, you can use your hit die. As you guys are cooking and preparing your potions and poisons and that kind of thing, you see Clatter, who's obviously come into the room to help Arthur move this cooking equipment, notices the blood plashes on the floor and clunks off down the hall, and eventually returns with a mop and bucket and begins to mop the stains out of the carpet. And you realise that he's getting a lot of the water on his boots, which are covered in rust. It's obviously he's done this quite a few times.
Excellent.
Yeah, I will be returning to the group, and I have the potion in somewhere in my belt, and I go to the dwarf and I if I get some of the food. She's
Everybody
making-
gets food, even if you don't want to.
For the sweets.
Yes, she's a feeder. in the best way possible, of course. She wants to keep people fed. That's her thing. So yeah, everybody gets food.
Excellent.
So yeah, you guys finish your hour's rest. No issues there.
Yeah, Ari would have poked at the partially destroyed bed, and if it was stable enough, kind of
It's
sat there
stable
to
enough.
eat.
It's stable enough. There's a few lumps and bumps in it because of these indentations from the dagger, but it's still quite a lot more comfortable than your normal bedroll.
How is everybody looking? Were they mostly able to get themselves back up and feeling well after the short rest, or is anybody still looking a bit rough?
I'm at max hit points.
I spat on all my wounds, so I'm fine.
Okay.
Despite his tussle with the couch, Skitter's actually unscathed.
Noticing the penchant for some of the to take bumps and bruises, once the short rest is over, I am going to cast Aid. Let me see how many people I can get with that. 3 creatures. So I'm going to cast Aid on Ari and Arthur. They seem to have taken the most hits. And your guys' maximum hit points and current hit points will go up by 5 for the next 8 hours.
Ooh,
Thank you kindly.
Very nice.
Appreciate
Awesome.
it.
that is almost double when I'm raging. That's 10 when I'm raging. Basically.
Excellent. So go ahead to the next room. Is it the final room next?
Yeah.
Not quite. You've got, as you
Yeah.
exit,
We've got some more.
you've got a door immediately to your right, which again has that strange, ornate-looking door handle, and one immediately opposite you that on the map is listed as the library. You've already been in the library, so it seems odd that there'd be 2 of them.
Yeah, I think
Elsa
Before we enter, I take out. Before
Elsa
we
just
enter,
walks in, throwing caution to the wind.
yeah.
Yeah,
well,
Skitter will follow shortly after.
yeah, me too. I'm gonna follow shortly.
As you
I'm
enter
all for
into
the shine now.
as you enter into this room, you find yourselves in a kitchen.
My eyes go big, and I wanna.
It's a small
How's it-
kitchen. It has an
House
oven,
just slumps.
stove, cabinets, and a table for preparing food. There's also a wooden door to a pantry to your left. But more importantly than all of that, there appears to be a human girl, no more than 8 years old, tied up and whimpering on the table, and a cleaver is jammed in the table next to her head.
Another trick. Slay the little thing.
Hold off on that.
I
I'm
glare
not
at
taking that chance.
I glare at
Me neither. He's not gonna go for the kid.
Yeah, Skitter's going to keep his distance, watching the kid with as if expected to spring into a dragon at any second.
Anybody who
Yeah.
likes to can roll me perception.
Yes, definitely.
Definitely. Go for that. Oh, for fuck's sake. Only a 9.
13.
21.
21.
17.
16.
11.
Okay. Anybody who scored with a 10 notices
Oh,
that
by the way, there's a dice 4 added to that. Sorry.
Anybody who scored above a 10 will notice that she's not tied up with rope. It appears to be some sort of silk material.
I go to the girl and I take out the dagger and try to cut the silk.
Okay, you can cut through it, no problem. She's got a gag in her mouth, so although she looks terrified, she can't communicate with you yet.
Yeah, I take out the.
You remove the gag? Okay. As you do, you hear her hyperventilating and watching. Her eyes are focused on this dagger work of yours. It's obviously quite terrified that you're going to slip. You've got to help me! Get me out, please!
Mm.
I'm going to
happened to
cast
you? I'm gonna move up
resistance
to her.
on Jordan.
I'll be. I sheath my dagger and place my hand on the girl's shoulders. That it's okay. We are here to help.
You have to help me! The rat man! He wanted to take me to the bogeyman!
Well, the rat man is dead.
And you see a little bit of relief in her eyes, but she looks towards you and the enormous blood-encrusted battle axe that you're wielding, and she sort of shrinks away as much as she can.
Yeah, I am a bit like that, but I still move up to her and try to give her a little bit of water and some light food to hopefully get her in a better state that she probably is.
Okay. What food are you offering her?
Bacon.
Of course, why not? She sniffs at it tentatively, and she nibbles just the slightest bit of it, and then looks up at you.
It's a sugared variant, by the way.
Oh, okay, that goes down much better. She will sit down, and although she still looks petrified, there's a little bit of she looks a little bit less terrified of you.
Are you feeling of the Siegfried?
What? Who's Siegfried? It's the rat and the bogeyman. Please, I want to go home.
What can you tell us about this boogeyman?
And she starts, as you question her on this, she gets the sort of glazed look in her eyes as though she's got her head somewhere else, and she begins muttering under her breath, and it's almost nonsensical. It's as though she's having a panic attack almost. But you do hear, you can make out the odd occasional words, and you hear, "Lock the door, blow out the light. The hungry Oni haunts the night. Hide and tremble, little one. The Oni wants to have some fun." And she begins to repeat this continuously.
Small thing useless. Get her away, out of our way.
Would I recognize the term Oni? Or
Possibly. Go ahead and roll me history, see if you've ever encountered one.
Is this could I also?
Yeah,
roll
anybody who
for-
wants to. Anybody who wants to.
what should I
I
roll
have
for?
I have a feature Hunter's Bane, and I have advantage on intelligence checks, recalling information, fate, beings, and undead.
Okay, it's none of those, unfortunately.
Okay.
What would I roll for it?
Yeah, that doesn't matter. Just 6.
Okay, it's history
Normal
checks
roll.
if you're interested.
History?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's a nat 1. Never mind.
Yeah, this is completely new to you.
The kid is a little bit calmer, so I'll leave her in other people's hands, and I want to just roam through all the cabinets that I can find.
24 on history.
I got the girls to our armor friend.
You're taking it to see Clatter?
Clatter.
Yeah.
Okay, give me a second, I'll come back to you. Elsa, you rolled a 20-something for your check? 24. Yeah. You've definitely heard of Onis before. You know them to be an evil offshoot of giants. And you know that the rhyme she's repeating is a familiar childhood rhyme that's often used to frighten children. That the boogeyman, the Oni, is coming for them if they don't do whatever the parents say, go to bed, finish their dinners, etc., etc.
I relay this to the group.
Standard fairy tale or old wives' tale.
Our Rambler has something to explain here. And he's actually, and Briar is now pretty aggravated.
I think we may have to think twice before opening one of these doors.
Blah. Giant's not fit in here. Silly small thing is wrong.
Yeah. We still don't know everything that there is in the mansion. We could end up quite easily wandering in a room that's bigger on the inside than the out.
Also, we still have one more door to go through, right? With that special kind of handle.
You do, and there's also the door to the pantry on your left. I know you said you were looking through things. You don't find anything particularly interesting for most people. You yourself will find a number of ingredients. A lot of them don't look particularly recent. They're dried herbs and that sort of thing, so they are long-lasting. But you imagine the fresher food would be kept in the pantry. Next to the pantry door is a bronze key that is labelled pantry.
I will pick up the key and try it on the pantry door.
It doesn't unlock it.
Before sometimes these nursery rhymes have some truth to them. Maybe we may need to try what's recommended before you turn the key. Is it, what was she saying, turn the lights off? Everybody see in the dark?
That skitter does not need light to see.
Neither do I, but I want to make sure everybody else will be safe. Do that.
I hope I should have made the night eye. And
So you may be able to see in the dark, but I cannot.
I can't either, but I am very alert.
I can hold your hand, Yuri.
I could have.
I'm very good at being blind.
Yeah.
I could have if I had made a potion for it, but no, I did not.
I can hold the hands of people that need some guidance in the darkness.
I saw you light your swords on fire. Maybe wait until see what happens. Maybe you hear anything coming. Maybe set them off so you can give some of the others a chance to see.
Can we just, whoever turns the light off, stay close to be able to turn it back on once the door gets open?
Uh-oh, the rolling begins.
That's preliminary rolling. You can chill out.
Yeah, I know.
Also, never trust a DM who tells you to chill out.
And I brought the girl to the clamp.
Yes, you did. And as Clatter catches eyes with her, he stops mid-sweeping, and his head does that strange cocking motion that you'd imagine a puppy to do as it looks quizzically at you. And then it clumps towards you, and the girl, oddly enough, doesn't seem frightened by him. And then all of a sudden, a mailed hand comes out, and it just makes a hand notion as though it's going to hold her hand. And very tentatively, the girl reaches up and takes it. And Clatter's visor lifts up, and just the black slit sort of looks oddly like a smile. And he begins taking her steadily back towards the main entrance that you guys came in from, and you presume back into the rest of the manor where the Harpels would normally be. You're just in the one isolated wing, so you'd assume he's going to take care of her from there.
Yeah, and from now on, I check down the potency, and that gives me +1 to my strength, but I have disadvantage as dexterity saving throws.
Okay. Just before Clatter rounds the corner as well, you see him unscrew his helmet and reach inside it, and he comes out with a lollipop, hands it to the girl, screws his head back on, and keeps going. Arthur, you were trying the pantry door lock, correct? With the key?
Yes.
Yes,
And
the key labeled pantry doesn't unlock the pantry lock.
Go on.
I'll just try pulling the door itself open
Okay,
with a bit more force than might be common.
go ahead and give me some athletics.
A 15.
You rip the door off its hinges, and as you do, I am going to need you to make a Constitution saving throw.
A 15.
Go away.
Unfortunately, that's not quite enough. So, is anybody else near the pantry door at this point? I've kind of tipped my hand, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Not really.
Would I have been returned by this point?
Would you have seen what, sorry?
Would I have returned at this point?
Yeah, you would have returned at that point, no problem. Elsa, what were you saying?
So doesn't guidance affect the saving throw as well?
No, it's only on
It's ability checks.
Resistance
Oh,
does.
it's just abilities.
Yeah. As you rip this door off its hinges and pull it back, all of a sudden you get a face full of gaseous spores that just reeks of odour and rot and filth. And you take 12 points of poison damage.
Actually, I have advantage on the roll then because I'm a mountain dwarf. So I didn't roll higher, but I do get half damage because I'm resistant to it as well.
Okay.
So that would be how much?
Half damage, you got 12, didn't I? So you take 6 points of damage.
And temporary HP comes in handy.
That's not temp HP, it's max HP.
Right.
Yeah, it's a full-on boost.
Better.
Yep. And inside the pantry, you can see a mess of moulded, uneaten food that reeks of decay, and the last dying spores of this filthy, rotting creature, or whatever it was that seemed to have exploded in your face as you pulled the door open.
I don't think prestidigitation is going to fix this.
I will just pop my head into the room and look around it a bit, besides this rotting thing.
There's nothing else in there other than rotting food. It's obviously not been touched for some weeks.
Then I'm not gonna touch it as well because I'm not gonna cook with rotting stuff. So I'll just leave it be.
Okay.
A gold, brass, silver key.
I'll hold the key up. I did find the key. I think that might work on the other lock outside in the hallway.
Well, you guys have one room left.
So
Yes.
forward it is.
Yeah.
And I'll go outside of the room, wait until everybody's there, and then go to the last door.
So as you go towards this last door, you see that it is very much not an ordinary doorknob. What you see is a very ornate dragon's maw standing, or sitting rather, in the doorframe where you would expect a normal keyhole to be. The snout extrudes from the wall, and it has enormous fangs carved into it that glint with little tints of red rubies that are designed, it seems, to look like blood dripping from the fangs. A pair of burning coals sit in the eye holes, and its face is pulled in a malicious-looking growl. And above it there's a little sign that says, "Push me."
I'm gonna feed it some bacon.
There's no reaction as you place this bacon upon the mouth of this dragon's maw.
I'll just leave it in there.
Just in case.
So, you magic people have any idea about this?
Do I?
Investigation checks or Arcana checks, depending on what you want to do.
Arcana. Oh, wait, it's still got D4. That is 19 on Arcana.
Okay, you're not aware of exactly what this is, but it doesn't have any magical residual effects that you seem to notice.
Nothing magical about this door.
No, it's just
and we
like
don't-
basically a button.
Just a fancy door, and I kick it in.
Diary, you were going to say something, sorry?
Well, I guess while he's kicking in the door, I want to cast protection from evil and good on myself.
Okay.
'Cause
Anybody
I remember the
who
celestial thing.
anybody who wants to can certainly investigate the door lock. Kicking the door doesn't seem to get any effect. It seems quite solidly built.
I'm gonna investigate it. 14.
As well.
I want to check not the door itself, but I want to check the door frame, and I imagine this is stonework that is built in.
Heavy
like
timber.
stone walls. Oh, heavy timber, damn it. I want to
Sorry.
find weak spots in the walls.
No, heavy timber. Devtrek, because of your small size, you're pretty much eye level with where the maw of this dragon is. And as you peek in amongst the teeth, you see what appears to be a small lever right at the very back of its throat. It seems in order to reach it, you're going to have to put the majority of your arm inside the dragon's mouth.
And how sharp are these teeth?
They look extremely sharp.
Do we
With-
have any way to reach it without putting our hands in there?
I don't
With that
know, you-
one, Skitter's actually going to go back to the bedroom and see if he can fetch a big long splinter of bed leg, basically.
Yeah.
And he's going to turn up with this big long shard of wood, and he's just going to hand it to Arthur.
I will use that to try to.
You can make me
put
a
it
sleight of
in.
hand check to see if you can manage to maneuver it in such a way to pull this lever down.
Can I give him advantage? Skitter's there watching and sort of trying, just getting ready to guide his arm if he her arm, should I say, if she makes any wrong moves. Being well used to picking locks.
Go on then. Go on then, yeah.
11.
Not
Yeah,
good enough, I'm
D4.
afraid. You're making contact with the lever, but because it's a splinter and there's no real hook or anything to grasp the top end of it, it's just sliding off the handle. You can't seem to make any contact with it enough to get any leverage.
Give it
I-
to Skitter.
And when I
Clumsy.
look at it as well, I'd like to put my arm in it, but it won't fit. I think that's the biggest problem here. I would do it, but I don't think the width of my arms fits in there.
Just clumsy dwarf kitchen. Skitter, do it.
I hand the log over back to Skitter.
Yeah, Skitter will feverishly jam this, what looks like just jamming and wriggling the splinter about what's actually very deft little movements as if he's trying to pick a lock. And hopefully the roll here will back me up. Oh, nat 20.
Nat 20, perfect. You do indeed manage to get past these little ruby gems that are in the teeth, and you manage to get your arm past the sharp teeth themselves, the razor ends, and you hear a click as the lever drops down, and the door open.
Oh, what do we see?
Well, the door's only slightly open at the moment, but as you push it through fully, you will see that you are inside what is the observatory. And this large room is covered in strands of spider web, and in one corner is an enormous telescope, though there are no windows or openings for it to look through. Next to the telescope is a circle of arcane markings, and the walls are covered with star charts and strange maps. An adamantine vaulted door is cracked open in the corner of the room.
Yeah, Skitter will just stand to one side, looking, peering into the room, but not making a move inside just yet.
This might be the vault that we were told about.
Yeah, I go in.
As you go in, sorry, go ahead.
Aries going in too.
Okay. As you guys step into the room, there's a shimmering, which is markedly similar to the arcane worms that you encountered earlier, but this is a little bit different. And an enormous ethereal spider appears in front of you all. And not only does a spider appear, but there's a horde of tiny skittering spiders, each about the size of your palm. 2 lots of these hordes come skittering in from the sides of the room, and we are into initiative, unsurprisingly. Arthur.
So there's this room, and then there's an open vault door, right?
The vault door is open, but it's only cracked open, so it's not, wide open or anything.
Can I get there some way without getting in the way of the big one?
You could try and move around it, yes. It would probably have an attack of opportunity against you, because it is bang in front of you all.
Yeah, sure.
Spoken like a barbarian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where are we? Fish spider. Give me 1 second. 23 hit you,
It
I
is.
presume. Where's my D10? Okay, I need you to make me a con save as you take 12 points of piercing damage.
Con save would be a 13. And how many points did you say? How many damage?
12 points.
Mm-hmm.
And you also take poison damage. Give me 1 second.
That was the poison. I can have advantage on
No,
the roll.
that initial one. The initial one was piercing.
Yeah, and
the poison is about to come up.
It was a poison attack, so I had advantage on the roll.
Okay.
So it was instead a 22.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. It's enough to save. Let's have a look here. Okay, you take 10 points of poison damage on top of that as well.
Okay, that would be 5 then.
No, I've already halved it for you, I'm afraid.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
No, so I should have said, yeah. So yeah, you take 10 points of poison damage, but you do get around it and you get up to the vault door.
And I want to pull the door open.
Okay. Give me a strength check, please.
Athletics?
Yeah.
22.
That's enough. It's an adamantine door, so it does take quite a bit, but this is you we're talking
I reckon
about.
it would have taken an action. That's why I just ran past it instead of disengaging.
Yep. Inside, you see a spiral staircase inside the vault that leads down into anonymous darkness. As you step through, a sinister voice rumbles out. I will be up in just a moment. And you hear footsteps on the staircase approaching from the inky blackness below.
Do I have any movement left?
Yeah, I'd say you've probably got about 15 foot.
I want to just move, not in the direction of the spider itself, just a little bit away from the hole that he's from. I want to use a bonus action to, again, pop my muscles and get into my rage.
Okay. I would like you, before you do that, to make me a wisdom saving throw, please.
Okay. 4.
Okay, as these words with this ominous voice strike from the depths below, you become terrified of whatever's lurking down there. You are now under the effects of the frightened condition.
Okay. And yeah, that's the end of my turn. So I'm currently raging, standing there.
Terrified. Elsa.
Terror.
It's a terrified rage. How close are the small spiders to the giant spider?
They're at the far corners of the room, in essence, so they're about 10 foot from your current position and about the same distance from the spider.
Also, I'm not looking too good.
Just throw that out there.
Just
Don't
throwing
let
it
you
out
in
there.
potion. 'Cause-
Okay, so I'm gonna. 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 I'm g pull out a sliver of glass and cast the cloud of daggers onto the in between the giant spider and one side of the small spiders, which is this cloud of daggers in a cube 5 feet on each side, centered on a point you choose within 60 feet. Oh wait, no, that's them small spiders would be out of range of that, wouldn't they?
No, they'd be within range of it.
Oh yeah, so there's just a cloud of daggers just appears between the giant spider and the small spiders, with the center of the shoot right in between both of them.
Okay.
So creatures take 4d4 slashing damage when it enters the spell for the first time, or on a turn, or if it starts its turn there.
Okay, so you actually putting it on the spiders or just in between?
It'll be in between them, so it should catch the small spiders and the giant spider when they start their turn.
Okay.
If I've worked it out right.
That's fine. I can do it. I can work with that. No problem. That's what level of spell is that?
2nd level.
Okay. Can you roll me a d20, please?
Yeah.
Oh dear. Game over.
I love that sound.
Yeah, that's it.
Brilliant.
Oh, really? Yes.
Yes.
Splendid. Wild magic. So the question now is, do you want to roll out of the player's handbook, or would you like to roll on the d10,000 table?
Let's roll the d10,000.
Yes. I like that.
Okay.
Yes.
The easiest way of doing it is to head online and just get a quick number generator up for 10,000 rather than fanning around little dice and stuff. I can do it for you, or you can do it yourself. It's entirely up to you.
Could you do it for me, please?
Yeah. No problems. Give me 1 second.
Uh-oh.
Oh, what's going to happen?
Watch the world blow up.
Last time
It's
I
a
did this,
possibility.
time and space got messed up, and we all ended up in random locations.
Oh, God.
I think last time when I did this, my companion's armor turned to gold, so it wasn't that bad.
Last time I saw Wild Magic, a very important NPC blew up in their faces.
Almost there. Hold on. Okay. The caster bursts into tears the next time you try to tell a lie.
That's not too bad, though.
Not the worst. All right. So I presume that's it for your turn.
Yeah.
Skitter.
Okay, as soon as this is an observatory, it's got quite high. It's quite high, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd say 20, maybe 30 feet.
Okay, are there good vantage points, shelves?
There's enough that you could probably
What
get
are they?
up onto some of the taller beams around the edges of the room that are supporting the sort of domed glass ceiling.
Okay, then yep, he will do so. He'll skitter up the nearest wall, not straying too far from the group. Need me to roll anything?
No, you can use it as your movement, but I think it costs you double your movement to climb, if I remember rightly. So you get about 15 foot of movement, so you could get up onto the beams, no problem.
That's fine. He'll use you'll use a bonus action to dash up there if need be. So he's got so he can get comfortably up 30, however high as high as he can, and then he will use his action to hide.
Okay.
So he's sort of hiding in amongst the cobwebs and the shadows up high.
No problem. Go ahead and roll me a stealth.
And that'll be a dirty 20.
Yep.
Oh, so he just sort of disappears into the inky shadow. And there he will bide his time.
Splendid stuff. So that puts us with the swarms of spiders. So the first lot is actually going to start its turn inside this cloud of daggers. So what type of check do they need to make?
Didn't specify. It just says it immediately just takes the damage.
Oh, just that. Okay, what was the damage? Sorry.
4d4 slashing damage.
Okay, you want to roll that for me?
Yeah.
Let's see how much you get.
Reroll all these fours. Ooh. 8 in total.
Okay. You see the spiders begin to move towards you all, but you see one or two run into daggers, or the daggers dart in and dive at the few, and they leave a small horde of them behind as they move through this cloud. They're going to move up to the first person that they will see, which is going to be Brynjar, I think it will have. And let's see if they can get you. That's more like it. Or not, depending on how you look at it. How's a 21?
Yeah, 21 hits.
Okay, give me 1 second, because I also need to roll 4d4s. 9 points of damage. As this horde of spiders begins crawling up your legs and biting at your shins and knees. Yeah, and it is poison damage, I believe. No, sorry, piercing damage. Okay.
Yeah.
Second
Okay.
swarm comes in from the opposite side, and we'll go for Arthur, because he's gone running towards the far corridor.
Yep.
That won't hit you. So although the horde is making its way towards you, you manage to stomp your feet enough that they dart back, and there's little circles of spiders opening up where they're just avoiding your footsteps. And that will be their turn. So we're then on into Brynjar.
Yeah, I will be. So there were the small spiders that attacked me. So I will go. I strike one of the spiders that are on my legs and then try to skirt around just a way that I won't be an attack opportunity. To next to the ranger.
You can disengage from them, but you won't be able to attack them because that'll be your action.
Yeah. I'll disengage and instead and
Okay.
get to the ranger.
Okay, so you managed to get away. Whereabouts would you like to move to?
To the next to the ranger.
Okay. No problem. You guys are still pretty near the door. I don't think Irie's moved as yet. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No.
So yeah, you're still you're pretty much next to her as it stands at the moment anyway. So I won't take you that disengage from you if you don't want to.
Okay, then I'm going to just attack the one that is front of me.
Yep.
That doesn't matter.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, that's just 10.
That bad. Irie, have you had a turn yet? I can't remember. I'm sorry.
I haven't.
No, I'm sorry. I've completely missed you. You go ahead. You should have been full of spiders. I beg your pardon.
Oh, that's okay. Okay, so she's so the big old spider is right in front of us, right?
Pretty much. It's about 5 feet away from you at this moment.
Yeah, so we're gonna hit him. Her.
Go for it.
Where might she go? Dirty 20.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Eight.
Okay, you get a good chunk in. You actually slice off one of its forelegs.
And then I get a second hit.
Yep.
Ooh.
Was that 10, sorry?
Yeah.
Okay, you slice off one of its forelegs, but it manages to predict the path of the next swing, and it just darts off to one side with this sideways move of its legs, and manages to avoid the swing. Anything else from you?
I don't think so.
Okay. In that case, the phase spider is going to respond. And if I get my dice rolling, okay, that's much more like it.
What
Which
kind?
one? It's just the big spider, sorry.
Yes. The
Then
big glowing ethereal
then-
blue spider.
Then I need to roll the d4s for
Yep.
daggers.
Since it's a glowing ethereal spider, what kind of monster is it?
Monstrosity.
11 damage.
11, nice. Okay, so as it springs towards you, you see a bunch of daggers come soaring in and just all throughout its carapace. But it does reach up and it does bite you with a 20 to hit.
Who?
Sorry, Irie. Beg your pardon.
Okay.
Same as you
it
went
hits.
for it. Okay, I need you to make me another con save, please. And we're going to see what happens here. Oops.
$15.
Okay, you take 9 points of piercing damage. And another 12, no, half, sorry, 6 points of poison damage as well. And with that,
Ouch.
yeah, with that, we're up to Arthur.
Artham's gonna draw her great axe again, and is just gonna rush up towards this big ass spider.
No.
And I look towards the rest of the party. I think we're having spider leg soup tonight, and I would just want to chop at its legs as well.
Sorry, are you going for the big one or are you going for the smaller
big
batch?
one, yeah.
Yeah, you're going for the big. Okay, go for it.
Yep. I will reckless attack this one. Glad I did. It's 25 to hit.
Roll me some damage.
Ooh, 11 plus 6 is 7.
17.
Simply
17.
put, it's enough. How does it look when you kill it?
I just run towards it and I just slash, just clean off directly beside the place where its legs are attached.
Yep.
Because I know how to dissect spiders for my previous meals. Maybe it's a bit bigger. And then I'll just, while it's falling towards my side, because it's missing its legs, I want to chop off the other side as well while it's falling, so all its legs are clean off.
No problem. You do that flawlessly. That leaves you with 2 hordes of spiders, and we're going to move up to Elsa.
Did I get my turn? Or?
Oh my god, yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'm getting tired. Deptech, sorry.
Clear. So, let's see here. Do we hear anything else coming from that open vault
Yeah,
door?
you can hear noise as though something's ascending a set of stairs. Something big.
Getting closer?
Yes.
Alright, I am going to drop spiritual weapon next to one of the hordes. So that's my bonus action. You see me mutter a quick prayer, and next to this horde is a massive shovel that just appears in the air and starts just swatting down on it.
Nice. It's a lovely
Okay,
visual.
so that is a 21.
Yeah.
Okay, and D8 plus your spellcasting. So D8 plus. That is a... So 6 damage.
How much damage you say? Sorry, 6?
6.
Alright, as this enormous shovel pops into being next to this cloud of ethereal daggers that are hitting this whole swarm of spiders, as they move forward, there's a massive clang as this shovel comes crashing down, and as it comes up, there's just bits of smushed spider and legs dropping off, and they are completely obliterated.
Okay, and can I get to Artham without getting
Yeah.
an attack of opportunity on me? Alright, I'm going to run up to Artham, place my hand on her, and say, may your time only come when I'm ready for you, and cast protection from good and evil. Her.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Right, now we will go to
so-
Elsa, if that's done.
Okay, and then that's the end of my...
So it's the
You've got 1 horde of spiders left that are close to Artham and Deptech at the moment.
okay. Then I'll cast Fireball on the spiders. 16.
Roll me some damage.
3 fire damage.
Okay. You managed to get a
Okay.
small portion of this little swarm.
Can I use a bonus action to fire another Firebolt?
Not as a bonus action, I don't think. Have you got meta magic that allows you to do it?
No.
Then no, I
Didn't
don't
think
think
that
so,
then.
I'm afraid.
Okay, then that's it then.
Okay. Skitter.
Skitter will, seeing that the situation's well in hand, he's actually going to dash along the various beams, wooden beams that are crisscrossing the roof, the ceiling, above the observatory. He's actually going to move, if he can, closer towards the vault door.
Yep.
So he'll use a dash action if need be to get there. He wants to try and get as close to the door entrance.
You can probably get above it without having to use your dash action.
Okay. Then he will do so, and do nothing more for now.
Ready an attack, maybe?
No, that's fine. Got a plan.
Harry?
So we just have the horde of spiders.
Yes, and something coming up the staircase.
Can she even hit them with her short sword?
Yeah. No problem.
Okay, so she's gonna go with her short sword at the horde of tiny spiders. 18.
Yep.
Three.
Okay.
And second swing, 9.
Okay, your first swing manages to cleave a path through a couple of them, but the second one they've predicted a little bit and they've all skittered out of the way of it. And sort of, it's like parting of the tide almost. They just move around it and then close back in as the sword vanishes.
And then since she... Oh. How close to us is the creature coming up the stairs?
Make me a perception check.
Nat 20.
Nice.
Ooh, nice.
You suspect that you've got probably, maybe, at most, 30 seconds before it reaches you. Now, in
So
combat
it's within,
terms, you're talking 4 to 5 rounds tops.
Yeah. So it's within 60 feet. It's pretty close to us.
Probably a bit more than that, to be honest, because it can move
Okay.
your average 30 feet around.
Then she'll... That's it for this turn. She'll wait.
Okay, no problem. The swarm of spiders is going to go for the one that's just killed the daddy, in essence, or the mother, depends. And they're going to do terribly at it. So although they start clawing at you, Arthur, you're
You
big...
have advantage, by the way.
I do?
Yes, because I'm both frightened.
Oh, yeah. And you
I
reckless
used
as
a
well,
reckless
didn't you? In
attack.
that case, they're very effective.
Actually, 1 second. Let me check something.
For your protection from good and evil.
Was the thing that frightened him? Okay.
They still have advantage from a reckless
Yeah,
attack, so...
They're monsters, so...
Creature said, is it a aberration, celestial, elemental, fey, fiend, or undead that frightened him?
Monstrosity, I'm afraid.
Oh, okay.
You take 6 points of damage, Arthur, as these spiders go biting at your ankles and clawing their way up your thighs as well.
That would turn to 3 because I'm raging.
Okay, no problem there. That's the last one I've got active, so we're going to move on to Brynjar.
Yeah, can I move in so that I'm at the flanking?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm using my bonus action to set my sword on flame.
Yep.
And that's... And that's also the damage. Okay, so that is 20.
That'll do it. Roll me some damage up.
10 slashing. And 1 fire damage.
Okay, as you go you dart to the other side of the door from Arthur, and as you do, you sweep your longsword through the horde of spiders. It cleaves them in bits and pieces, and the searing heat from the flames of your blade finishes the last few off. And you guys are out of initiative. But you can still hear those very ominous footsteps getting awfully
I'm gonna
close.
move to the side of the door, stand rather with my great axe, and meanwhile chuck a healing potion.
I had a healing potion, right?
I don't know how you guys arranged them. I think you gave it to all the melee fighters, if I remember.
Yeah, it was to all the
Yes.
frontline fighters.
Does Artham still look fairly hurt?
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna cast Cure Wounds on Artham.
Thank you.
And I'm casting Cure Wounds on myself.
Smart.
I'm gonna spend my sorcery points to regain
9 HP.
the spell.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I'd say at this point,
And I am going to walk back so I'm probably about 3 feet away from the door, but I'm going to put myself in a way where as soon as this thing's visible, I'll be able to see it.
I will hide in the corner of the door, the vault.
And
Door?
I'm putting my spiritual weapon next to it.
okay.
And
I would say at this point, Irie, because you've been listening for it, you are aware that it's moved closer. And as you step to one side, you'll hear a jingling from your belt. And you remember that you've got a key. And you were specifically told at the beginning that there's a key
Go
somewhere.
lock the door.
Bingo for the vault.
She's gonna dash at the door.
So, as you're going to need to close it again because it's currently wide open. And it's
Okay.
adamantine, so I'm going to need a strength check if you do want to close it.
Okay.
I'm still scared
can
as
I
fuck,
help?
so I'm gonna help her on this.
You're still under the effects of the frightened spell, if I remember, condition rather.
Yeah.
So, I believe frightened. Let me double check on the
You
conditions here.
can't
'Cause
go
I've got
closer to it by choice, right?
can't really move close. Yeah, okay, you can stay where you are and keep working. That's fine.
Okay.
I can't remember if you had to run away from it or not.
Oh,
No, I
shit.
cannot willingly move. Yeah.
And we still have that D4 on
Yeah. If you've not used it already, then yeah.
24.
Plenty. So you can hear these footsteps getting louder and louder, and you guys are straining at this massive metal door, and you manage to get it to shut with an enormous clang. And as you go to put your key in the lock, it spits it back out. And the mouthful of the key moves and it says, "That's the wrong key, Siegfried. Did you get the wrong one? It opens the pantry in the kitchen. Did you get them mixed up again?"
I will throw
But he had
my
six
key to her. Take this one.
Arthur, as you do that, you hear the footsteps get awful closer, but again, the key goes in, and this time there's a definitive click, and you've successfully locked the door.
Well, taken care of,
Kind of.
right?
You can just about hear the footsteps still getting closer at the other side, and as the moments pass, you hear it come to a stop, and then there's a sudden on the other side of the door. Hello?
Bye. And I'm getting the hell away from this frightening thing.
So the door's okay though.
The door does appear to be holding without any particular issue. You can still hear it making calls every now and again, but as time passes, it seems to get a bit, whatever it is, seems to get a bit bored, and you hear the footsteps start to retreat back down. So,
I'm going to investigate the telescope.
splendid. So, as you approach the telescope, again, you can see that it's not particularly pointing towards anything. Do you look down the apparatus, shall we say?
No, there was some arcanic markings on the, if I remember it right.
There is indeed some arcanic markings.
Can I make a Arcana check?
You can.
We're under the effects of guidance, yes?
Yes. If you've not already used it, then yes. Excuse me.
I think I've already used it, so... 16.
Okay. These markings seem eerily familiar to teleportation magic sigils.
I'll relay it to the group. See,
I have a sneaking suspicion that nobody should look through the thing.
possibly.
Do you know where it leads?
Probably not without looking in it.
So you think that this teleportation thing brings us to where you look at, or what?
Possibly.
I look into the thing, into the apparatus.
Of course you do. As you look through the telescope, you see the surface of the moon. And very oddly enough, you see a tiny hut covered by a translucent magical dome. Inside the dome are rows of vegetables and even a few sprouting fruit trees. And scribbled in the moon above this out-of-the-ordinary bastion are the words, "To my dearest nephew Tristan, by now you have inherited the northeast wing of Ivy Manor. I have retired to the moon to escape the cares of the material world, but you can access my share of the family fortune by standing in the arcane circle and speaking the words Lunus Extus. I hope you enjoy your inheritance. Sincerely, Siegfried Harpel."
So you fell out at a small part. So if you stand in it and you say these words, then what?
Sorry, hang on. You can access my share of the family fortune by standing in the arcane circle and speaking the words Lunus Extus. I hope you enjoy your inheritance.
I stand in the circle and say the words.
As you do, there's that strange tugging, pulling, warping sensation that you had after you drank the Ivy Port. And everybody else sees Arthur vanish. And then a second later, another figure appears in the room with you. And this is a very old, but familiar-looking wizard, and you realise that this is Siegfried Harpel, the man whose portrait you saw lying on the floor as you entered the manor. Arthur, you appear on the surface of the moon, in the midst of this dome. However, because Siegfried is no longer on the moon, the spell begins to disintegrate. And the very bewildered-looking wizard just stands about, and he looks almost as if he's just been woken up from a nap. "I'm home! Oh, splendid! Well done, all of you. Where's Tristan?"
I don't know, I'm sorry, I couldn't quite read
You
your
have
handwriting. What did it say on the moon?
It was a message to Tristan, inviting him to claim his inheritance by speaking certain words while standing in the teleportation sigil.
Right, what were those words? I'm trying to figure that out.
Lunus Extus was the specific term.
Okay, bye.
Yeah.
Did that work?
I'll punch the wizard in the stomach.
Is he still there, or did he?
No, the wizard's still very much there. He's actually stepping out of the circle as Brynjolf's fist goes into his... Oh, ruffians!
You have something explaining to do.
Who are you? This is my house!
What's in the vault?
And meanwhile, Arthur, you realise the last embers of this dome begin to shrink, and you're struggling to breathe. You're beginning to suffocate.
Oh my god!
I think I can hold my breath for 4 minutes.
You might need to. Meanwhile, Siegfried just gives you a look and stands back. "I warned you. You strike me again."
I get myself between them. It's like, look, a friend of ours just disappeared when you arrived. How do we get them back?
Who? Was it Tristan? Was Tristan here? I did
No.
leave my
No,
inheritance
It
for
was
him.
not. It was a dwarven cook who arrived with us, helped clear this area out.
Oh, well, where is he then? Did
Did
he stand in the circle?
Yes,
Yes.
inside the
Oh,
woods, yes.
well, that's a shame. I mean, I don't understand though. How did you come here? I mean, who
We
are
were
you
hired.
people?
Tristan hired us to clear out the manor for him.
Arthur, this inability to breathe is getting worse for you up here. He hired clear the manor. That conniving swine. He was after my inheritance. I know he was. Couldn't wait until I was bloody well dead, could he?
Is there a way to bring back our friend from? Because I don't think he can.
Oh,
breathe.
yes, of course, yes. There is. But where's the Oni?
He's behind the door.
Oh, you locked him in the vault, did you? Very well done, very well done. If he'd have got out in the manor, it'd have been problematic, to be certain.
So again, about our friend.
Yes, of course. He'll be in the telescope. And he starts tinkering around with this thing, but he keeps stopping and looking at you all and looking at the mess. Where do all these spiders come from? Arthur, you begin to taking hit point damage.
If I actually start to suffocate, at least I want to go out with knowing if the stories are true, and I want to taste the moon.
You're able to find loose pebbles of moon rock.
It doesn't taste like cheese, I guess.
Not with that roll, no. But he begins looking around. Where did all the spiders come from? They're not mine.
Here.
Spiders, focus.
What? Oh, yes. And he begins fiddling around with these things, and a moment or two later, Arthur pops back into existence in this teleportation sigil, looking very blue in the face and a bit worse for the wear. I am sorry, my dear. It was intended for Tristan.
Well, seeing as the job's just about done, let's help you get out of here, and I'm going to go over
Out?
to Arthur, place I.
You're not leaving. This is my home.
Oh, not you. I'm going to go over to Arthur, pick her up to her feet, place a hand on her, and I'm going to use my last spell slot to cast Cure Wounds on her again.
Why was there a girl here?
12 HP.
You get the biggest, probably most gripping hug ever. Probably physically hurts you, yeah.
I'm very small, please.
Yeah.
And afterwards, I feed you a bit of bacon.
Why would it be anything else?
It's actually really quite good, actually.
And there's a bit of a tear coming out of my eye.
So, as you guys go to depart the manor, Siegfried makes sure that per the terms of the agreement, you are honoured in your pay, so you do all earn 150 gold. And Clatter escorts you out, opens the door for you, and just gives you a very rusty wave of creaking of as you all go on your merry way.
Last thing I do for him, then I unscrew his head and throw a few pieces of bacon in it, and then screw it back.
Splendid.
And I cast
Well done, guys.
precipitation on his boots.
You've managed to successfully clear the manor and survive.
Yay!
I gutted that big spider. That big spider died when it did. I was just waiting to just jump out of the shadows with daggers bared and try and jump on its back or something. You're too efficient, all of you.
Splendid stuff. I hope you guys all have fun. I certainly had fun DMing for you all. I hope you guys in the audience have fun as well.
Great fun.
If you want to see more of this, again, come check us out on the Fumbles and Fame Discord. We'll have streams going up all throughout the week. I believe the next one is tomorrow with... I can't remember offhand which one it is. It's either Tomb of Annihilation. No, it's not. Tales from the Yawning Portal or Princess of the Apocalypse. It's one or the other. I can never remember which way around it is. Tales? Have you got Dungeons and Dragons Online on Tuesday, Ken, or is that still postponed?
No, we're in our holiday break because of people not being there and World of Warcraft release. Sorry.
Priorities. But yeah, if you guys want to partake in some of these streams, I've got slots open in one-shots periodically. Again, we've had some new faces here tonight. You've all done a really great job. I've really enjoyed having you. It's been good. But if you guys at home want to get involved, again, top into the Discord, get your own game set up, or we can have you jump into one of ours. It's not a problem. We'd love to have you guys. But for now, it's goodbye from all of us here, and we'll see you some other time.
Bye.
Bye bye.